All right, so this week at Petrie's Family Games, we have a pre-release for Core 2021. It is finally here. And so the products that we have available right now, we have Core 2021 pre-release kits for sale for $20, which is a super steal, you guys. These normally go for
spicy
$25 normally. And we get extra goodies, so Cameron here at Petrie's, he's going to give you one Core 2021 booster pack, which would normally be contributed to prize support. He will give you a Core 2021 promo pack, which
good cards. Good cards in there.
All good cards. And normally you can't get these unless you're doing Friday Night Magic, but unfortunately due to the Rona, we can't be doing a Core 2021 Friday Night Magics right now. So he's going to give you one of these as well. And also with each pre-release kit purchase, you are going to get a promo Reliquary Tower, which, for any of you Commander players out there, you want this in lots and lots of decks.
Yes, you do.
And then also a special promo from Jumpstart, brand new card. It's a Sphinx that lets you get back artifacts, instants, or sorceries from your graveyard for free. And you'll get that as a date-stamped promo as well. So you get all of that for $20 right now. The other deal that he's got going on right now is you can get a full box of Core 2021 for $99.99 plus tax through next Sunday. So you don't have a whole lot of time to decide on those. Yeah, through July 5th is when you have to decide on the full box. And if you buy a full box, you are going to get the buy box promo, Rin and Seri, inseparable for all of you people who want to play Dog Cat Tribal. This is the card for you since it has not existed yet. And also, for just a limited times, Cam's going to throw in one of these Mechagodzilla Battle Fortress. It is a reskin of a Hangerback Walker in full art, super awesome Mechagodzilla promo art. And also, you're going to get 2 packs of Jumpstart, which doesn't come out until mid-July, but you're going to get a little bit of a preview. 2 Jumpstart packs. You're going to get all these things for free in addition to the box, again, for $99.99. And after next Sunday, July 5th, they will be for $114.99 after that.
You want these. There's good cards in Core Set, and you're getting all these freebies. Heck of a deal.
Hey guys, this is Alec here with Petrie's Family Games. We are going to open us a box of Core 2021, but instead of just listening to me yap the whole time, I got a couple other gentlemen here who are going to help give a little feedback. So I am going to be our Commander expert. I play a lot of Commander, so I'll be commenting about the certain cards from that perspective of things, and I've got some other experts here with me as well to talk about some other formats too as we go through.
I'm Chris. I'm kind of the constructed expert. Been playing Magic for quite a while. Recently been very interested in Modern and Standard. So we'll focus on the changes, or if any of these cards will impact those plays, or sideboard cards, or things to look for in your own decks.
Hey guys, I'm James. Played a lot of Limited on Arena. Trying to get in stores more now that restrictions are lifting. So seems like a good Limited set. Excited to talk about some of the cards and archetypes with you.
Alrighty guys, so we got some packs here, and I'm sure we'll spread out the love because there's just something about opening packs that just feels good no matter who you are. Right. So we're not going to go over every card because you'd get bored with us and talk about that. So we'll talk about the rares, of course, and maybe any notable uncommons that we're going through for different formats to just give you guys a little feedback. So let's kick this thing off. If you guys want to pre-open some of your packs so that we're ready to go, keep this moving along.
So we're looking for Planeswalkers, we're looking for some of the Mythics in the set.
There's some real spicy Mythics, some good reprints too.
For multiple formats too.
Yeah, and I'm noticing too already with the packs, I'm pretty sure these are the ones made in the Japanese plant because the order on the packs is reversed. You'll start with the token up front and the land and the rare and then go backwards from there instead of the traditional order. And you might feel that a bit of a difference when you're opening the packs. So to get things started off, okay, so instead of the basic lands, looks like you might be getting some of the duels instead. Might not be in every pack, but definitely something that'll help your fixing, right, for the limited format?
Yeah, you want those.
All right, and speaking of more fixing, we got ourselves a Temple of Silence for rare number 1 here.
That's all.
Okay, and some shrines. So, all right,
Shrines are interesting. They're a carryover and a nod to Kamigawa, if people can remember that far back to when Kamigawa was a thing.
That is a little ways back.
Tell me more, Grandpa.
But so far, as far as like Legacy and Vintage, where the shrines would probably be relevant, none of them jump out to me as highly impactful. But as far as like a flavor or a design, I'm a fan of. And right there, actually, if you will pull out that black uncommon,
here's a card worth talking about, right?
That's a card worth talking about in both limited as premium removal and in standard as premium removal.
And in case you guys can't read it here, this card is Eliminate. So it's 1 and a black for an instant, destroy target creature or planeswalker with converted mana cost 3 or less. And for this being the Teferi focus set, this gets rid of old Teferi really well, I think.
It very effectively gets rid of old Teferi. It gets rid of a lot of planeswalkers. It even gets rid of the new, probably the White Weenie King is the new white planeswalker.
Basri
Cat. Yep. Who possibly will show up in, a White Weenie deck somewhere in standard. I'm not going to be surprised.
Somebody's going to try it,
Oh, very nice.
That is a very nice mountain.
Wow.
I didn't even know. I haven't even seen these.
Just hold it up to the camera a little higher.
There you go.
There we go.
So we got a cool alternate frame mountain here.
Yeah.
So that's sweet. We'll keep that.
We're going to start off with the foil shock. Easy. It's shock. Not much to say. You know what it is. You know what it does.
Like, it's not Bolt, but you play it.
There are the frames, the showcase frames.
Yes.
And they range from like mythic to common.
Oh, and apparently land.
So yeah.
I'm gonna just fan through the commons here, and then we're gonna go back. Here's
all right. So I'll start talking about the rare while he's doing that. So this is Subira Tulzidi Caravaneer, 2 and a red for a 2/3 legendary creature, human shaman with haste. You can pay a colorless, give another creature with power 2 or less, can't be blocked until this end of turn. And then 1 and a red, discard your hand until end of turn. Whenever a creature you control with power 2 or less deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So for any of you who follow Game Nights on YouTube, I know this is going to feature in one of the decks that's coming up here soon. They've already mentioned that it has. But a really interesting mono-red commander. Problem with mono-red and commander is you don't have great card draw and you don't have great ramp. And this at least fixes one of those problems and gives you a really interesting deck to build around where you're doing kind of a red weenie sort of a thing. You can get into raid bombardment. Even if you want to do a Cavalcade of Calamity, for those who haven't had enough of it in Standard, you can get some of that here in Commander too. But definitely interesting design space that they're taking with red. I really like it.
The Professor was talking about that card being hot for Pioneer potentially too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's keep this train rolling here.
So we got our land, and then we got Peer into the Abyss. Alec?
Oh, yep. This is
away.
Definitely a commander card because I don't think 7 mana spells focus in Standard too much, and in Limited this is definitely I'll take that back for Limited. You might be willing to play this because it is target player, makes them draw half their deck and lose half their life, round up each time. So if you haven't been able to hit them, or if you've just got power building on the board and you can cut that life total in half before you hit them, it might be kind of part of your finishing combo. But I think definitely where this shines is Commander. If you're starting life total in Commander, you pay 20 and draw half your deck. Yeah, that'll work out pretty well, especially if you're running something like a Psychosis Crawler. Every time you draw a card, each opponent loses 1, and you pay this. And let's say you draw 40, and your opponents take 40.
And it's mono black. I mean, you'll get there on the mana.
You'll
find a way.
Oh yeah.
Especially for any of those draw mill cards. And they did print a new one in this set. And so if you're doing any kind of black-blue mill shenanigans, if you have whenever you draw a card, mill an opponent, this card will help get you there.
Heck yeah.
Definitely help get you there. Probably not from any other formats.
Not the junk rare that you might think it is.
A card to keep an eye out for, though, is the Conclave Mentor, which is kind of a Winding Constrictor, but for Selesnya instead of Golgari. Selesnya being the green-white, Golgari green-black. And so if one or more +1 counters would be put on the creature you control, that many +1 counters... That many +1 counters are put onto that creature instead.
That many +1. So it's hard. It's hardened scales.
Yes.
Yeah, 1 mana.
It's hardened scales. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's very nice. And then when it dies, you gain life equal to its power. So a little bit of an upside for this 2 mana creature. It is hardened scales or a Winding Constrictor, and
on an uncommon no less.
On an uncommon no less. So, and I've noticed, at least, I don't know, you've probably drafted more, but looked like counters was a theme in this draft.
Yeah, green-white, they kind of want to push the counters, go wide kind of deal.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, we have a very shiny, a very pretty vampire here for those of you who need shiny, pretty vampires.
Maybe the best art in the set.
All right, and then a Thieves Guild Enforcer. So this cares about rogues and mill. So I don't know, is there a mill deck in Standard, Chris? Is mill coming our way?
Mill's not coming our way as far as I know currently. It's a 1/1 flash. There's a sack deck that's... I don't know if there's going to be too much shenanigans with it because the 1/1 slot is still filled with the cat combo. But, a 1/1 flash is still not that bad for 1 mana.
Well, and there's still some flash support, I think, from Ikoria as well.
There's
that Slinking Whisper that's in blue and black. I think whenever you play a spell with flash, your opponent takes 1 and you draw a card.
Yeah, it would be an interesting deck to look into and kind of see. Probably more for tabletop or your F&M, not too much on the high-end competitive end, but
sure,
definitely a card to at least take a look at or a glance at.
But if you're running the Slinker, maybe with this and that new Teferi's Tutelage, so hey, you're playing flash spells, you're drawing cards, you're milling them, this mills them too. You could get something going there, and there's some more rogues with flash even in the set, so you got a little bit of synergy there. So you could do blue, black, rogue, mill. Mm-hmm. That can maybe be something you head toward, maybe for a more casual game.
Yeah, definitely flavorful at least. So
very cool. Right. Not to mention robot arm. So if you guys need your prosthetically armed human rogue, here you go. We got one.
Some treasure planet stuff.
All right.
Totally underrated film, by the way. Go watch it if you have not seen Treasure Planet.
All right, here we go. Speaking of the sacrifice deck.
Okay.
I'll let you read this card and tell me what you think about it.
Have my mind blown. All right. So we have Vito, Thorn of the Dusk Rose, 2 and a black for a 1/3 Vampire Cleric. Call back to Ixalan here with the Dusk Rose. And he says, whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life, and 3 black creatures you control gain lifelink until end of turn. Well, we did just see some life game cards in our previous video that you might have seen with that Doctor deck I was playing, Black-White Life Gain. A good number of those cards were from this set, and I think you definitely get some synergy here. And not to mention, for any of you Commander players running your Exquisite Blood, Sanguine Bond combos, this is your card. This gives you more redundancy for that combo. This maybe even is your Commander if you're trying to do mono-black combo. You tutor for your other piece. He's on the board. He's your other piece, and you just get there, and that's just game.
I mean, legendary, so easily, easy for a mono black commander deck for that combo. Fits great into the cat combo because he does half of what the deck's trying to do of just ping your opponents, and you gain life constantly because you're sacrificing food and
the Cauldron Familiar cat combo.
Yep.
One. Oh yeah.
Spicy little combo. I pulled out a common here, which is rare to see a common.
Gotcha.
To see a common out on, but it actually gets me a little excited for Is It Phoenix, or the Phoenix deck, because 1, it tutors for itself, and 2, it cares about how many copies of it are in your graveyard already.
Ooh.
So the first one will draw you 1, and if you're throwing some of those into the graveyard by milling yourself or any other ways, or you've just cast a whole bunch trying to trigger your getting your Is It Phoenix out, you can end up drawing 4 cards. So, and just so you know, it reads, draw a card, then draw cards equal to the number of cards named Frantic Inventory in your graveyard.
I had 3 in a black-red Spells Matter deck last night with Splash Blue. And it got there. Like, I self-milled a couple of them, and then I just had to play 1, and I drew, 3 cards, and felt really good.
2 mana at instant speed. Yeah. That seems pretty good.
Yeah, it was a great moment. I was like, this card works.
Card draw's good.
Fancy Island, so that's nice.
Ooh. That is really sweet looking. I like that.
And Spark Hunter Masticore.
Alright, what do we got here? We got a 3 mana artifact creature, a Masticore. Not a Manticore, a Masticore. I'm not sure the difference, I really couldn't tell you. But it's a 3 mana 3/4, so not a terrible rate. As an additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card. Maybe not so great, but maybe okay. If you're running a few of those frantic inventories, you get this, toss 1 in your yard, and it doesn't hurt you that much. This has protection from Planeswalkers. I don't think that's ever been printed on a Magic card before that I can think of.
Not that I can think of. You know?
And so what he does, a Spark Hunter. Spark Hunter, he's hunting for the Planeswalker Sparks.
There we
that
go.
makes sense.
Clever.
So you pay a colorless mana, and he deals 1 damage to target Planeswalker. Seems not bad. And 3 mana, he gains Indestructible until end of turn. This seems like a Planeswalker killer.
That first activation, I mean, how often do you see a Planeswalker come down minus, and then it's just that 1 or 2 loyalty?
Mm-hmm. Well, especially Teferi bounce.
Yep.
You know.
Oh yeah, he's down to 1 loyalty right
Down
away.
to 1, and you know, even if they choose to target your own, well, I mean, actually, it's
He
got
can't
protection,
even
target it.
bounce it.
But you know, if they, you know,
Make them scared to bounce anything at
They
all.
play that on turn 3, you play that on turn 4, take out Baby Teferi.
yep.
Good to go.
So we've got a few answers for Baby Teferi already in this set. So
Love it.
so there we go. All right, and James, you were telling me about this card earlier. This Carrion Grub actually did some work for you in Limited. You were mentioning the other
it was
day.
pretty good.
So what does all this bad boy do? It's a brand new card.
So
What's it
Blue
do?
Black wants to self-mill. This is kind of your self-mill signpost uncommon. It's going to mill you for 4 when it ETBs, and then its power is equal to the greatest power among creatures in your graveyard. So you just want to play some big beefy boys. There's like a big blue common running around at 5 power. There's another one I think at 7 power. So you successfully get one of those in your graveyard. Slap one of these down, you got like a 4 mana 7/5. Like it's ridiculous, and it mills you for 4, so it kind of gets you going in the first place, especially if you want spells or creatures in the graveyard. So I don't know how strong blue black self mill is going to be in the format, but this card's kind of where you want to be. It's a hot tamale, and it's got a big butt, so it kind of shuts down those aggro strategies too.
I was gonna say at 4 drop, that's kind of what you want, is something that will impact the board and make it so that you can get into the later game, especially
slow
in a
down
lot
the
of
aggro
those.
deck.
Yeah, because you know, someone gets that very fast aggro deck and you just drop a 0/5. Not many aggro decks can get through a 0/5
Yeah.
without wasting a lot of resources.
Yeah,
So-
and then there's definitely some more payoffs just for having things in your graveyard. You know, that frantic. What were we talking
Frantic
about?
inventory.
Frantic inventory. That's it. I was
Mhm.
thinking frantic search. I'm like, so it's a weird mental combination between frantic search and then take inventory, both of which are actual Magic cards. So having the go between is a little confusing. So having that in your graveyard matters. Even some of the red cards care. Like this one cares about the number of instant sorceries in your graveyard. So if you're milling yourself, you might even can do a black red or even Grixis mill like you were talking about before.
There's a common rise from the grave too, just like 5 mana creature to the battlefield.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
so it's
Let's
flexible.
keep this rolling. Okay, we have a Maze Mind Tome. Oh, okay. Apparently, you can get additional frame rares
There
in
you
this
go.
set. So we'll start with a Maze Mind. 2-mana artifact, tap it. Put a page counter on it, and scry 1. So looks like you can do that a couple times. 2 and tap it. Put a page counter on it, and then draw a card. Okay, good mana sink, I guess. And then when there are 4 more page counters on it, you exile it, and then gain 4 life. So you could draw a couple cards, get some scries. If you don't have mana, scry. If you have some mana, draw cards.
I've been seeing this a little bit as like 1-ofs or 2-ofs in some of the like blue-white control decks.
That makes
Just
sense,
because you get your life gain later on in the game, you set up your draws early on because it's a 2-drop. You can set up your draws. You can bounce it before you hit the 4 counters if you need, and you're just using it to draw cards every turn. You know, so.
Seems good.
Okay.
You know?
Well, it's reminding me a little bit of a treasure map from back in the Ixalan days when you could scry a couple times and then it ramped you. So this will scry a couple times,
Yeah.
draw you a couple cards and gain you some life. So a little similar.
Yeah.
So-
Treasure Map was a great card in Standard back then, and I feel like that will be a decent card there. I'm actually excited for the very next card that I
There,
saw.
Me too.
So you know we've been talking about all these graveyard strategies. Well, here's the answer for said graveyard strategies with
Hashtag
Scavenging Ooze.
no.
Tell us all about the wonders of Scavenging Ooze.
So
Chris.
Scavenging Ooze will see play from Limited all the way to Commander to Constructed, all the way to Vintage. In fact, many decks will even run it in their Vintage decks. It is a powerhouse 2/2 for 2 mana. You pay 1 green, exile target card from a graveyard. If that card happened to be a creature, you put a +1 counter on it, and you gain a life. So, to briefly talk about it in Constructed, there's all these, I can't even think of the 6 mana fish guy that puts things into your graveyard and you get a creature back, but skews can eat those creatures.
Garuda.
Garuda. There we go.
Garbage.
Yep.
Oh, man.
That wonderful thing.
The Demon Kraken. That's it.
What's that clone card, 4 mana? That's what people love to do.
Spark Double?
Spark Double.
Oh, Spark Double. Oh, gross.
Yep.
Yeah, it gets
it gets very, very disgusting. And Skews is a amazing answer because they choose the target and you get to say no to that target. In fact, is the way these interactions work out. It's a must play if you're in green and there's any graveyard shenanigans,
Yeah, and it's not bad in Commander either if you're just looking for a good early drop that's going to provide you some really good utility. Not having graveyard interaction will burn you more games than you care to remember. Yep. That's why a black will typically just run a Bojuka Bog. If you're in black, you've got a Bojuka Bog in your mana base somewhere just because it exiles a graveyard. And this, you don't really need the whole thing. You just need targeted removal, the cards that they want. We've got Tormord's Crypt to exile entire graveyards as well.
Just in case you were worried.
Yeah. So with these cards being in the set, especially from a limited perspective, that's a really strong signal that, hey, graveyards matter in this set. Why? Because we have answers to graveyard shenanigans
especially
in this
you're
set.
Playing best of 3, maybe think about holding on to that.
Yep.
Oh man, the art on this is gnarly too. It's like an ooze. It's like ripping some weird creature's head off. That's pretty grisly. Pretty metal though.
100%.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll always play Scoobs. That's what I'm going to go with here. Always play Scoobs.
You open yours first, so carry on, good sir.
Well, that's an interesting token. Just saying, Goblin Wizard.
Goblin. Oh, all right, guys.
All right. I mean,
guys, I feel like we're not in Ravnica, but here this is an Is It card. If ever I've seen one, we've got Goblin Wizards, and they're not shamans. They're not warlocks. These are wizards. These goblins care about study. These goblins care about study, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here.
I think they just care about fire.
They care about studying fire.
There we go.
We'll go with that.
I've heard people call that the bait ham. That particular art, just because.
No, yeah.
The fire.
Yeah, look, he has a piggish quality to him that they could end up as a goblin ham.
I'm really digging these basics. I think they're going to be fun little kind of
sweet
collect digigos, kind of like it was in Theros.
Good old Temple. Not much to say except for you need mana fixing. Does what it does.
That's true. I've even heard sometimes in limited James that even if you're only one of the colors, you might play it anyway.
I heard that today.
Just for the scry.
The limited resources guys were like, these are a C+. Like you want these because that scry in the late game, clear land. You're doing good.
Though we will say, if you are not in either color, do not play them. Taking up a slot in your deck just for the scry. Boo. If it doesn't help you and it'll hose your colors, not worth it. But in any other deck with just one,
come on.
Definitely be picking these up. Also for Commander players, great budget pickup. If you just need a little bit of help in your mana base, fixing these, this will help get you there. It gets you a little bit of value that beyond just a guild gate.
I mean, we just saw these in 20. They're at 75 cents right now.
Yeah, so pick a bunch of these up.
Because they will go up once they stop reprinting them.
Yeah, that's for sure. So yeah, we got more of these sweet alternate frames here. We got Chandra's Magmut. Speaking of which, guys, dogs. They are a creature type now. We've had hounds for the longest time. They are hounds no longer. I believe, maybe not every hound, but almost every hound, I think, in Magic has been eroded to a dog. So if you're grabbing the Buy a Box promo from this set, this Rin and Seri Inseparable that cares about dogs and cats, if it's an older card, look it up in Gatherer, look it up on Scryfall. If it says hound on it, it probably is actually dog too. So make sure you're checking that.
Yep.
Okay. Question for our limited expert.
Sure.
Because I was interested and intrigued in this card. How does this do?
All right, so what is it? What are we looking at first?
So we are looking at an X green 0/0 Hydra. When it enters the battlefield with X +1 counters. Whenever one or more counters would be put on another non-Hydra creature you control, put a +1 counter on Wildwood Scourge.
So that card in particular, I have mixed feelings about it. It's an uncommon, so I feel like it's kind of saying like, hey, over here, you want me. But on its base, it's 4 mana, 3/3, because you have to pay the extra green. And then if you don't have a ton of counters, at least in your early curve, it's probably not doing what you want it to do.
Okay.
Because I think if you're green white, you want to go wide and then go tall, and that card in particular wants to get big with value.
So if you have like this and maybe the centaur that we were looking at before,
I think it's
some of the green white commons that give counters, like then you're in business.
MVP if you got the counters. If you're just trying to do green white good stuff and just try to beat their face, I don't think that's where you want to be.
That's fair, because it doesn't have trample, it doesn't have any kind of evasion or reach or anything like that.
And I mean, the truth is, it'll get big and then it'll die, or it'll get face fetters or something. So
or it'll get chump blocked for forever.
My first reaction to it was it's either a good card, and I don't understand how busted it is, or it's a trap card, and I'm still going to play it somehow.
Oh, heck yeah.
But I don't know where in that spectrum it actually lies.
If you're going to slap on that bad enchantment, the one like you gain life and you get that many counters.
Oh, there we go.
Slap it right on there.
There we go.
And you're going to slap that enchantment that gives it flying, and you're just...
And then they're gonna play Fate's Fetters and make you very sad. Well, there's a two cost white common that kills a tapped creature at instant speed.
Yep.
So you're gonna make your big giant battleship, and then they're gonna rip it a new one.
That's right. That's what happens. There's a 2-mana blue spell at uncommon in this set that just returns target spell or creature to its owner's hand.
So it's a kind of counter spell, kind of unsummon.
Yeah.
All right.
I dig it. Like,
that seems real good. Okay. Points for the token here on this cat. It's just a cat face, like between some grass. Like it is sneaking up on you, and it's gonna come get you. Like
vibes.
That's
yeah.
Well, I think the card that makes it, we've got some jungle-like vibes. So hopefully we'll open one because it's a legendary creature, and it's fun to talk about new potential commanders. But cool cat token, just to throw that out there. And for this, all right, for all of you lore people out there. We have a Baron, Talarian Archmage. I believe this was the teacher for Urza, the main planeswalker from back in the day. He was Jace before we had Jace.
He was cool Jace.
That's true. He's cool. I mean, he kind of blew up the world and started an ice age and had a war with his brother that consumed the continent. No big deal.
Lore expert.
Little things. But in limited play, you run this. It's Manowar at the very least.
Yeah.
So it's 1 blue for a 2/2 legendary creature, human wizard. When he enters the battlefield, return up to one other creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand. In limited, the planeswalker, probably not going to matter, because you're probably not going to see one, but even just bouncing their big creature that you just really don't want in the way. However, if you do bounce one of your own, maybe to get an end of the battlefield trigger again, or if it's got an enchantment on it to get rid of that.
There's a lot of little enchantments running around.
At the beginning of your end step, if a permanent was put into your hand from the battlefield this turn, draw a card.
Heck yeah.
So your opponents probably aren't going to be doing this to you too much, especially if you've got this sitting on the battlefield and they know it's going to give you card advantage. But if you have any other ways to bounce creatures, then maybe you get some value. Maybe you get some cards going with it.
And it's a 2/2, so it doesn't scream kill me. So if you're doing other things, oftentimes their removal is going to go elsewhere.
Yeah, it's probably going to see a play as a 1 of or 2 of in the blue-white bounce deck with the new Jace as well, and the companion that's no longer used as a companion, Euro, I think, right? No, what's the flyer?
Alurus.
Yorion. No, Yorion.
The flyer.
Yeah. The flyer. So I've been seeing hints of that in that deck, but we'll...
All right. And for you guys who are curious, we pulled out that Goblin Wizard token earlier. This is the card that makes the Goblin Wizard. So it's 3 in a red for an instant. Create 2 1/1 red Goblin Wizard creature tokens with prowess. So 4 mana, 2 1/1s, not the best, but they have prowess. So if you're doing kind of spell shenanigans, this might be okay with you. For any of you Commander players, I just built the new Calamax, the Stormsire, that cares about copying your instants.
That deck is dope.
So this is 4 mana for 4 power, so you would get 4 Goblin Wizards with prowess, and you're casting instants all the time. So you cast 1 instant at combat, and your 4 damage just turned into 8. And turns out 8 is a 5th of your life total in Commander, so not bad. And then one other card I did want to talk about here. I always like just redundancy, especially in Commander. And Archaeomancer gets played a lot. I was going off on a combo with this the other day, and then someone removed it. It made me real sad. So this is another version of Archaeomancer. A Shipwreck Dowser, 3 blue, 3/3 Merfolk Wizard. Also with prowess, like we were just talking about. And when it enters, you get an instant or sorcery card back from your graveyard to your hand. So in Commander, this is usually just value. If you're doing any kind of spells deck, any kind of spells matter. I have the new Thassa that's blinking your stuff, so getting this effect every turn, bring back your counter spells, bring back your card draw. Every turn with this seems good, and so there's also combos you can do, flickering things like Archaeomancer, and so this is just a little bit of redundancy for that.
$1 million question for you, Alec.
Yes.
Does that replace Archaeomancer in any of your decks? Because it is one more.
It is one more mana. So if you don't really care about attacking, I don't think it's a replacement.
Okay.
I do think it's another option. They did print a weaker version of this. I think last core set, Salvager of Secrets.
Yeah.
Same mana cost at common though for a 2/2
Yeah.
Merfolk Wizard. Didn't have the prowess, just got it back. So if you're running that as a backup to your Archaeomancer, this definitely replaces that. Plus, if you're doing a wizard deck, I've got a wizard tribal as well. This is getting some spells back, and what's a wizard deck without spells?
Yeah.
And then in a Merfolk deck, you're running some counter spells in there too because you're still in blue. So I think this fits in Merfolk, Wizards, and Flicker. I think it kind of fits in all those spots. So definitely a worthwhile pick in Commander.
For sure.
And speaking of Commander, we'll hold off on our Legend for just a moment. We got Cultivate, and we haven't had just a regular core set printing of this card in a long time.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Since like 11, I think.
I think so. I think that was the last printing. You see it. It usually comes out in the Commander product most of the time.
Or Master set. Like I think they did one in Master 25.
That's true.
You just want that card.
Yeah, it's especially for budget, especially green decks. You want a lot of your ramp on turn 2 if you can get it. If you can't, because some of those are a little more expensive, this is solid. It's totally worthwhile replacement, again, especially if you're a budget player. 2 and a green, you go grab 2 basics from your deck, 1 into play tapped, so you are ramping, and another in your hand to ensure that next land drop. So if you play this on turn 3, you're guaranteeing that you've got 5 mana on turn 4 to do whatever you want to. And I think even in a limited environment, unless the aggro deck is bashing your face, it's definitely worth it, I think, on turn 3 to play this. It fixes your colors, too. So if you're a 2-color deck at least, you're going to be.
Say about that, and if you want to just be base green, pick a couple of those Land of War Visionaries up. You open up an Ugin, you open up like any 5, 6, 7 mana bombs. You can definitely be a base green 3, 4, 5 color deck in this format and just get there. So Cultivate's going to be at the center of that.
And plus, if you're doing shrines, which if we open there is a mythic shrine that is all 5 colors, and if you're in that deck, you want this card. That's all that. Yeah.
Yep.
You want that.
When you're in that deck, you know you're in that deck.
Yep. And I'll say Cultivate's gonna probably see at least a little bit of play out in Standard. So
just really, is it fast enough?
It's almost fast enough. There's a few Euro decks that probably want 1 or 2 just for your color fixing. Because all they have Growth Spiral, which is great, but it doesn't actually search for your land drop, and you can cast Cultivate into Growth Spiral.
That's good.
You know, or turn 2 Growth Spiral, and turn 3 Cultivate with 4 mana up.
Golos is standard, because Golos is the first thing I thought for Cultivate.
To fix all your colors.
Well, no, I don't.
No, I don't think Golos is bad.
I don't think Golos is. Right? They banned the land, the zombie land.
Field of the Dead,
which is what made Golos so broken.
Yes.
Okay.
They banned that.
They banned Golos in Brawl, which was
and
perfect,
then Agent of Treachery is gone recently. So Fires of Invention because
free spells in Magic are usually broken.
Yeah.
Anytime you get a card that says can't pay without mana cost, usually broken card. We were just talking about Golos, so there you go. All right, so for Commander, we got another legendary here. Old character coming back. Kervek the Spiteful. 2 black for a 3/2 human warlock. Love that that's a creature type now, by the way, warlock. Other creatures get -1/-1. So he is a reverse anthem to everything on the board. I don't know how viable he is just as a commander by himself. I feel like this would kind of lend itself a little bit to black good stuff. More than likely. I did hear a good deck that he goes in, though, is a Grismold the Dreadsower. He came out not this commander set, but the one before. He's a 3 mana, he's a troll, and at the end of every end step on your turn, everyone at the table gets a plant token, and then whenever a creature token dies, you put a 1/1 counter on Grismold. So you run Kervek in that deck, everyone gets a 1/1, it immediately dies, and then Grismold gets 4 1/1 counters every end step. I believe he also has Trample, and if he's your commander, you could really get there with commander damage, especially if you're running Doubling Season, extra tokens for everyone else, and then they just immediately die to Kervek.
Throw a Porter, a Blood Artist, and you're just in it.
There you go. Also, he works in another black-green deck, Vati Ildal. Really old card, but you can tap Vati and make target creature's power or toughness equal to 1. And with other creatures getting -1/-1, it just means you can tap to insta-kill any creature at the table. So it definitely fits in the 99 in a few decks. And if you get anything else, Knight of Souls Betrayal, really old enchantment, I think does the same thing. A little more hardy though because it's an enchantment, but still an interesting card. A cool character coming back, not nearly as scary as the original version. If you want to have nightmares, look at the original Kervek the Merciless, and that's a scary card right there.
All right. So I perused through my pack and started with the 6/6 All-Star Champion.
All hail.
Yeah.
All hail.
I'll hail the Colossal Dreadmaw. He ends games.
He does, and that's why I pulled him out. Is if you see him, you're late into a pack and you're solidly in green, pick him up in limited.
You got a ramp, maybe pick up 2 or 3.
Yep. You get a few cultivates in there, and you're off to the races with a few Dreadmaw 6/6 Trampler for 6 mana. Very generic, very vanilla, but does work.
Yeah, and again, counters are a theme in this set. You throw some counters on that guy, and it's just even worse day.
There's a common that you pay into. It's a blue common. You pay like 2 mana. You give something flying. That's the thing right there.
Whew,
flying Dreadmaws.
I think we opened one of those a little while back.
That's a good card.
Well,
Rousing Reed,
Yeah.
3 mana enchantment, but it draws 2, discards 1, and gives a creature +1/+1 and flying enchantments. Then you got a 7/7.
Card's good, but there's an uncommon 2-drop. It's the same thing. You just pay into it.
I must be missing that one.
We'll
We might not have opened one yet. We'll mention it when we
Well,
find it.
speaking of flyers, though, Lofty Denial. I've been hearing things about it for standard, and maybe modern in your spirits or your flyers matter deck, because there's definitely there's the Empyrean Bird that gives all flyers +1/+1.
Yeah.
There's
Three
plenty of
mana, yeah.
cheap birds. There's an angel in this set that just came out that is the original Lyra, in my opinion. Banesayer.
Oh, that's
angel,
true.
Lofty Denial, 2 mana. If you control a flyer, they counter target spell unless they pay 4, which is
That's better than Mana Leak. For those
which
who
is
can't
a
touch it.
hefty price. For 2 mana, it's if you don't have a flyer, they only have to pay 1.
So it's a 2 mana force spike if you don't have a flyer, which is not great.
Yep.
But then again, even Colossal Dreadmaw, a lot of people, they're tapping out to cast their big bombs. So that even gain 1.
You can get them. Yeah.
And also for your flying deck, I think a best named card in the set right here to help your flyers, Aven Gagglemaster. So if you guys just want to chuckle, because a gaggle of geese is what you call a group of geese. And so this is the Aven Gagglemaster that gains you 2 life for every flyer you have.
Watsy, you did good.
You did good.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact, this card, really good and limited. 5 mana, 4 power flyer with upside.
Yep.
We're not quite Sarah Angel, but we're pretty close.
Still dies to
And
removal.
that still dies to removal, but hey, if you gain, maybe you gain 6 life out of this thing, that's not bad. And if it lives, 4 power in the air for 5 mana is well worth it.
That's a good deal.
Yep. It's a good deal. And then I don't know how to say this name. Esteemed Speaker.
Nyambi. I think this is Teferi's daughter in the lore, if I remember right.
She sure seems that way. Flash, when Nyambi enters the battlefield, you may return another target creature you control to its owner's hand. If you do, you gain life equal to the creature's converted mana cost. And then you can pay 1, a white, and a blue, discard a legendary card, and draw 2 cards.
I like this card.
So I think there's even some limited applications in this set because, hey guys, you know what's legendary? All these shrines that are uncommon.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't have extra shrine support to make it worth playing, cash it in for 2 cards.
Yeah.
Yep. And you can play the white shrine, which taps a creature. It's not a bad 23rd, 24th card if you really are hurting for a spot, and this just happens to have a little bit of an upside and limited for that. I don't know if they'll see any constructed play. I think it being a 2/1, and then the requirement of discarding a legendary card kind of hurts it.
It's also a tap effect, and you got to pay 3 mana.
Yeah.
That is not an
that's your cherry on top.
insignificant cost for sure.
I think that first line of text is kind of where you want to be if you're running this card. Just 2 mana.
Basically, removal protection.
2 mana, save your thing, gain some life. You get a 2/1 body.
Save
That's
your thing,
right. You do get some
It's that
life.
flash, so I think that's kind of where the
Well,
sweet spot is.
I will say the one good thing, and always remember this in combat, is as long as the creature doesn't have trample, you can block it and then bounce it.
Yep.
And that creature is still blocked. So you gain life, you've blocked a creature.
So you're preventing damage and gaining life.
Yep.
Feels almost like a 3-for-1 at that point.
Yeah.
That's true, and especially even just right here from what we have, these are all things that you could run just to get their value again, to save them.
Yep.
Draw an extra card, get another instant or sorcery back, gain some more life. Like, there's plenty of end of the battlefield triggers that you can abuse and get value off with this. And it's not likely for you to open this and Baron in your draft or your sealed because they're both rare. But if you do, you get card draw off Baron too. So there's that.
I'm just saying you're just bouncing both. You're bouncing Baron, bouncing her, or she's bouncing
You
Baron.
do need Baron to stay on the battlefield though to get that card because I don't think triggers at the end step.
Not much to talk about there, boys.
All right, well. We got another temple. Again, you're going to open a lot of these. They're going to be here everywhere.
There's the shrine I was talking about. This is probably, in my opinion, the only one that I would want to play. I don't know.
The blue one still seems not bad. Just because it gives you a loot option.
Yeah,
It's a free loot too. I don't even think you have to pay mana for that one once it's out.
The cost for this one is extreme, which is the problem.
It's one white to cast, and then it's 6 mana to tap a creature, but it costs 1 less to activate for each shrine you control, and that does count itself.
Yeah,
so you're never going to pay more than 5, which is a lot to tap a creature. But at the end of the game,
you need mana sinks.
You'd pay it.
You can get your dorky little, I always say this, the flyer's right there, the Pegasus. A 1/3 flyer will get there. Sometimes you just end up in those games where the 1/3 flyer is the only thing, and they find their 1 flyer, and you can just tap it down, get in for 1 every turn. Damage is damage, and you got to end the game somehow. So
I've heard the shrines talked about in there's kind of 2 categories of them. There's like the payoffs and the enablers. So you might run the white shrine in order to like boost up your black shrine. So you're getting like 2, hit them for 2, you gain 2, and then late game, the white shrine kicks in. So I think they all kind of have their niche spot. You just got to find out where you want them.
Yeah, and you do got to be a little careful with that because you don't want to run bad cards to make other cards good.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that every individual card is worth playing. And granted, you might have synergy, and you obviously want to build around synergy, but don't play bad cards to make other cards good, because then you have
limited, especially if you got 2 shrines. You got 3 shrines, probably. 4 shrines, definitely.
Especially if you're getting the blue one, because that one will draw you into more cards to maybe find the other ones.
I just saw this sitting over here. Speaking about standard cards or standard playable cards, I've been hearing talk about this in the sacrifice deck.
So what is this? What are we looking at here?
It's Village Rites. It's a 1 black instant. As an additional cost, you sacrifice a creature, but then you draw 2 cards. So when you're playing with the kitty cat, that gets thrown into the oven all the time.
The cauldron familiar, because everyone loves baked cat. Everyone loves baked cat.
Baked cat is delicious. The big thing is, a lot of the times in that deck, you're searching for the second part of that combo piece, especially after someone, they stabilize their board or disrupt your board mainly is how they stabilize. And so you're disrupted and you need to re-find those pieces. This is a great, 1 black is nothing in that deck. Your curve stops at 2, basically.
Essentially.
Maybe 3 if you're running a Yara.
Yeah. I just love that this is an instant, because they go take out your thing, and you're like, I'll take out my own thing and draw some cards.
Or like what Chris was just saying, you block with your creature, and then you have Village Rites, and you blocked their creature, and you're getting 2 cards out of it. If it was going to die anyway, might as well cash it in for 2 cards while it's on the way out.
It's definitely not a card I would run 4 of in that deck. I think it would be a sweet 2 of at most. Maybe even sideboard 1 and mainboard 1, but kind of keep your eye out on that one, especially if you're running those sacrifice decks or
a little bit of filtering.
Creature dying matter decks. Even at Tabletop Magic, creature dying matter decks are a thing.
Definitely a more push feeling common for sure.
Alright, so we got plains, we have a shiny forest.
Ooh.
Hey, and we got that card I mentioned earlier. So we were talking before about that really cool looking cat token. Where's that cat token go?
Oh, the panther looking thing.
Here's the cat. There we go. There's the cat token. So if you were curious why the cat token looks like a panther hiding in the grass, it is because on the legendary creature that makes the said things, there are panthers hiding in the grass. And so this card, she's a character that we have seen in Magic before. I believe you discarded cards and you could turn your lands into 2/2s until the end of the turn, I think, was a Jol Rael, Empress of Beasts, I think was the card.
Nice.
And so now we have a new version of Jol Rael, 2 mana. So if you're doing commander options, 2-drop commanders, if they have a good enough effect, they're worth running. And this one I think is. So when you draw your second card each turn, you make this 2/2 cat token. It also does not say on each of your turns, so if you have a way on your opponent's turns to draw 2 cards, you can. Maybe you crack a Hedron Archive in Commander to draw 2 cards, and then you get a cat out of it too. Or anything on your turn, you just need to draw 1 card, because you've already drawn your card for turn, and then you'll make a cat.
It's green. You'll ramp, you'll draw cards.
You'll ramp, you'll draw cards. And then also, second ability, 4 and 2 green, 6 mana. Until end of turn, creatures you control have base power and toughness XX, where X is the number of cards in your hand. So you're going to want probably as close to a full grip as you can get, which in green might be a little difficult. But there are some cool things you can do. There's a really cool artifact called Slate of Ancestry. You pay some mana, you tap it, you discard your hand, and then you draw a card for every creature you have. And this deck, you're making lots of tokens. So, and then you activate that second ability, and your cats are going to be way, 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 way bigger. But for all of you who've been wanting to build a theme deck, here's your crazy cat lady.
Yeah.
She's a lady. She makes cats. She cares about drawing cards in green. There's your crazy. So, crazy cat lady.
I will say she is gonna see standard play. I don't know about modern or any of the others.
Because you're not limited to mono green in any other format. So other formats, take it away.
You're gonna be playing her in your Euro deck or Euro the 2 green and a blue or 2 blue and a green.
Reclamation decks, maybe.
Yeah, Reclamation decks. You're gonna be playing it in those because you draw cards all the time. You need a small body that. It's your go wide strategy for when you're going big doesn't work. It creates bodies. You're always going to have a full grip. Works fantastic with Hydro Craces. Because remember, it says their base power and toughness. So if you have a 0/0 Hydro Craces with 4 counters on it, and you have 2 cards in hand, well, it's now just a 6/6. But, you have more than 2. You have a full grip. That 6/6 is now an 11/11 because you have a 7/7 base power and 4+1/+1 counters on it.
Ouch.
That seems pretty good.
It can get in there,
And also for limited as well, this goes great into those green-white +1/+1 counter strategies because again the counters will stack on top of that second ability as long as you have a way to draw some cards. This will get you there.
Yep. I'm hearing a lot of fingers crossed. Can't wait for the Ravnicas to rotate. That's what I'm hearing.
And we did get another cool frame, a Liliana's Devotee. It pumps up your zombies by +1/+0. It's a human warlock. And beginning of your end step, if a creature died, you can pay 1 and a black to make a 2/2 black zombie token. Doesn't enter tapped. 2 mana, 1/2/2. Not too bad. It's not a zombie though. So that makes me question maybe playing it a little bit in a zombie deck just because you don't get all the other zombie interactions. There's plenty of zombie lords at this point. I don't know if this quite makes the cut. But in limited, I think, creatures dying, getting tokens out of it. Creatures are going to die in combat all the time. You can also cash in your 1/1s, pay 2 mana, upgrade them to a 2/2.
They'll be a 3/2 with the Warlock.
They will be a 3/2 with the Warlock, so yeah, definitely
They'll hit harder.
Definitely an upgrade.
Ooh, here we go.
There's a card.
Foil rare.
Oh, foil rare.
Yep.
Dude.
Heroic Intervention.
Good to sleep on that bad boy.
Well,
all permanents you control gain indestructible and hexproof, I believe.
that is correct. For 2 mana, instant speed.
Yeah.
That's
a card.
I feel like it's niche in constructed and limited. I feel like it's probably a little bit more than just niche in limited.
Probably more of a blowout.
Yeah.
I know in Pioneer, that's like one they want more of for sure.
There we go.
Also,
that's kind of why the price has been going up over the months.
There you go. And any commander player, if you're playing green and you care about permanence, which you're in green, so you probably do, you'll want this card. It'll be a real blowout for your opponent when they board wipe and they think, haha, we've got everything taken care of, and you get to keep your board. The hexproof basically makes it just function as a counter spell, like a turn aside, almost in green, giving it gives everything hexproof. But more often than not, they're just targeting one thing at a time. But that indestructible permanence can be a really big blowout, especially if you have jerk friends who play things like Armageddon. And then you play this in response, and everyone loses lands except you, which would be a really big blowout. But if they're playing cards like Armageddon, you don't really care what they think anyway.
Feels like the Teferi's protection for green. That's how I've always felt about that card.
Yeah, I mean, not quite on that same power level, but as close as we can get, yeah, for sure.
It feels that good.
And then Shacklegeist, 2-mana flyer, 2/2. Spirit, which is probably the most important part of this this card here. Can't be blocked, or can only block creatures with flying. And then tap 2 untapped spirits you control, tap target creature you don't control. I feel like this will see play in the Modern Spirits deck.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if the Modern Spirits deck is still doing that well with the way things are in Modern. I haven't seen it in quite a while.
Is Modern still a lot of Delver? Or I know it was.
No, Modern has now switched over to Primeval Titan and Bluetron.
Nice.
In fact. So, combo decks, where the mid-range or the aggro creature decks aren't doing quite as well, but this is certainly something that, you can tap down a Primeval Titan, tap 2.
Sure.
And it just says tap 2 untapped spirits, so it can tap itself.
The turn it comes out.
Yep, even the turn it comes out, which is very important for those kind of things, especially at 2 mana where you really, really need to tap down that 6/6 that's going to blow your face off pretty soon.
Not to mention ramp itself by 2 lands.
Yes.
In the case of prep time.
Yes.
That Spirits deck, does that run that, was that M20, Jeskai, Bird, makes the Spirits?
Oh, Kaikar.
Kaikar, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Kaikar does make spirits.
It has
I heard
moved
about this
away,
card
yeah.
for that card. I don't know if there's a deck there.
There could be a deck there. That would be something that someone could develop, and we'll maybe see, or try it out at your own F&M or here locally,
or for Commander. If you guys are running Kaikar with spirits, or if you're doing your Okagachi Kamigawa tribal care about spirits, this is a card. And also just for limited, a 2-mana 2/2 flyer with barely any downside, with can only block creatures with flying. Like, that's good. And they print 2-mana 2/1 flyers with that same downside all the time at common.
Yep.
And that is an aggressive strategy that will just 2 power in the air on turn 2 is really good.
There's some other spirits running around in this set, so you can get away with that second line of text too.
Yeah.
And here's that Llanowar Visionary that we were talking about earlier. It is Llanowar Elves with Elvish Visionary smashed together, including their mana cost. So it is 2 colorless and a green, and when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card, and you can tap and add a green mana.
I'm in.
On a 2/2 body, nevertheless. So, not too bad for your green limited decks.
That's true. Or if you're doing elves in Commander, like you run Elvish Visionary, you run Llanowar Elves, you don't have mana problems, and this helps make more mana for you. So limited for sure. For sure. Yeah. And I think even any green Commander deck that kind of cares about creatures, I think it might not. I mean, obviously elves. It is a 3-drop dork that only adds 1 mana, which isn't great. And it's only green, so multicolor doesn't help you there. And I don't know if that 1 card draw is enough in non-elf decks. I don't know if it is quite there. It's close, but I don't think it's quite there.
Yeah, I feel like it'll definitely go in your elven commander decks.
Sure.
And
I think it's
not much
for
out.
common because you're.
Oh yeah,
I think 1/1
so.
body on the Visionary and then a 1/1 body on the. So I mean, they just matched up perfectly. Like if they just made it a 1/1, I felt like maybe it would be. It definitely feel a lot worse.
Yeah. If it was a 1/1, it would be subpar, and I would not appreciate having it in my deck. But as a 2/2 for 3 mana, it does exactly what I want 2/2 to do.
And this set, it's reasonable enough to throw a counter on it, and you got a respectable body.
Yep.
That's
and
true.
even if you don't, you can ramp into your 6/6 turn early.
That's true.
Bring up that Ugin. Rune Halo, Alec, you wanna?
Yeah.
Intro to us.
So, Runetail, this is a reprint, and with the art on it, I'm pretty sure this came out back in the Lorwyn block back in the day, because I'm pretty sure that is one of the Kithkin right there.
Mm-hmm.
So it is Rune Halo. It's white for an enchantment. When this enters, you choose a card name. You have protection from the chosen card name. You can't be targeted, dealt damage, or enchanted by anything with that name. So, if your opponent is playing any kind of deck in Commander that cares about commander damage, you just name the commander. Their commander can no longer touch you at all. In any way. No damage, no targeting. And also just if you know there are certain spells bouncing around your format that are just a really big blowout, like, if you've got one guy who really loves killing people with Fireball, you could name Fireball, and then he can't kill you with it. Yep. Though what's more likely, at least in our play group, I have played a spell so often, it has become synonymous with my name. In our group, we call it the Alex Special. It is River's Rebuke. It's 4 blue. Target player returns all non-land permanents back to their hand. So it is a 1-target Cyclonic Rift, because it's really hard to afford Cyclonic Rift. And this wouldn't protect you against that anyway, because it doesn't target. But River's Rebuke does. So you play this down, you name River's Rebuke. They cannot target you with River's Rebuke, which would make me very sad, but a good thing in Commander, you have more opponents that you can mess with. But yeah, shuts down certain commanders that care about damage and certain targeted spells if you know they're in your format. This is really good tech against them, not to mention if you're in any kind of enchantment deck or deck that cares about devotion with that double white pips, this will help you there too. So if you're running Heliod or Daxos or something like that, it helps you there.
Definitely sideboard in Constructed.
For sure.
Not much more to say about it other than, there's certain decks that your deck can't beat or certain spells that your deck, that you just lose to. I'm trying to think of the spell, the kill spell. Explosive.
Is it Expansion Explosion?
Expansion Explosion, yep.
Yeah.
That'd be like kind of one of those, you're the white weenie deck. Because I mentioned that earlier, you're playing that white weenie deck and you are playing in Standard, Ruined Halo is going to be your friend to play in your sideboard.
Especially if that's their finisher. If that's how they plan on killing you, they can't target you.
That's what those
with
Reclamation decks do. They just save up mana and then just blow you away.
There you go. Oh, so apparently, if you are Garruk's Gorehorn and you earn yourself a fancy frame, turns out it costs you your flavor text.
Yep.
That is the cost of a fancy frame, is you lose your flavor text. So that's really weird.
So after you win your limited game, you just sign that and give it to your opponent.
There you
See
go.
you around, kid.
Or hey, if you ever run into Svetlin Velinov, maybe somewhere in the former Soviet Union, judging by the name, they could sign it for you. And hey, there's this little convenient box for them to sign that card for you. It's already there, ready to go.
And it doesn't cover up any text.
That's true. That's true. Still wouldn't be tournament legal, though, if someone signed on it. I'm pretty sure. Not that you would ever run this in any kind of constructed deck.
I love they gave a common to showcase. That's my favorite.
That's true. It's because it has Garruk's name on it. So we've got the Liliana's name, Chandra's name. This is Garruk's. But again, where'd the flavor text go, man?
Self-mill it in black green, and then your grub is like a 7/5.
Whew, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And it's a common, so you can definitely get a few of these.
All right. Well, here you go.
Hey-o!
That's a pretty guy.
That's a good boy.
All right, so if you guys watched our previous video that we put out on Jumpstart, you'll know that James over here, he got one of these in his Dragon's deck. So this is Terror of the Peaks. Definitely an include for sure, I think, in any Dragon Commander deck, which I do have. So you might want to come in and grab this before I'm tempted by it. So
Don't worry, we have two.
We do have two. We do have one from the Dragons we opened earlier. So this is 3 red for a 5/4 dragon. It has flying, of course, as almost all dragons do. Spells that your opponents cast that target Terror of the Peaks cost an additional 3 life to cast. Normally we see additional mana being in the spell's cost for an effect kind of like this, but 3 life. And if you're in any kind of aggro deck, and if you're playing red, you might be, then 3 more life. Hey, they have to bolt themselves. This is a free bolt if they want to deal with this thing. But wait, there's more. Whenever another creature enters a battlefield under your control, Terror of the Peaks deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. So guys, there's a spell that does that. That's called Warstorm Surge. That costs 1 more mana than this. More mana. So this is less mana, potential bolt to the face. You got a Warstorm Surge tacked on there on a 5 mana, 5/4 flyer.
This card rocks.
This card is really, really, really good. Obviously, Instabomb. You could pack 3.
Yeah.
Like, you might find a way to play this if you open this. You're like, nope, we're taking red for the last pack, so I can play red now.
It's an A card. Like, it's a game winner.
Yeah, and just with how much removal I think there is even in constructed play for
I was gonna
bombs, like
say,
there's not as much, I think, creature combat as much as there is just removal of threats.
Mhm.
And this is going to just be a free bolt.
You're playing that red-white aggro deck or the mono-red deck, and you're not playing the low to the ground. You're playing kind of more of that mid-range deck. This is fantastic card. 5 mana, 5/5 with flying. There's been tons of dragons, and it's proven to be darn good, especially with
It's
other
5 mana, 5 power dragon flyers.
Guys, Sarkon.
Yep.
Super Friends.
There you go.
With dragons,
also, he makes your Garruk's Gorehorns real good.
Yeah.
It's real good.
Yeah.
That's 7 damage to the face just for playing it.
Yeah.
That's real good.
Red green. Go die now.
Yep.
Ooh, so yeah, definitely a spicy pickup for limited for sure, for constructed play and for commander, especially if you're running dragon decks. Even if you're not running Dragon decks, if you're just running like big stuff decks, so if you're doing any Xenagos, God of Revels, I want to play big creatures, double their power, and hit them really hard in the face, this will help get you there. Speaking of doubling power, before we move over to you, Chris, this little card right here, I don't think we've seen cards with this exact wording before. This is Unleash Fury, 1 in a red instant, double the power of target creature until end of turn. I think there was an old card called Rush of Blood that did something similar, where it was just target creature gets plus X plus O, where X is its power. I think they just found a way to shorten the wording. I like it. It's really intuitive. It like feels less mathy.
It does
doubling it instead of having the numbers on there, I think, is a lot more intuitive. Also, before I was talking about Calamax as the commander. Turns out this on Calamax is really good.
Yep.
You swing with your 4/4, you cast this, you put a counter on him, you double his power. He's a 10/10 now. You double it again. That's 20. And it turns out 21 commander damage kills you, and this gets you almost all the way there. So, fun fact there for commander players who want to play Calamax. Or any other Voltron commander. Like, if you just throw that into the sneak, it's because, guess what, guys? This stacks with Double Strike. If they've got Double Strike already, this stacks with Double Strike.
Yeah.
That's bananas.
Well, think of just that common 7 power,
Sure.
Yeah.
They can't block it. 14.
14.
Yeah.
Like, whew.
Instant speed, it's a fantastic combat trick that you can just catch someone off, because it's like, I swing in with a 4/4 and they're at 8. And
They think they have a whole nother turn to live.
They have a whole nother turn. They don't need to block it yet, or they have the kill. A sorcery speed kill spell or an answer, or capture sphere. Any of those enchantments, face feather. Any of those that they're going to play on their turn. Go. I'm going to answer your thing. I'm going to just take this hit so I can keep my creatures alive because I already got the answer.
Okay.
Great combat trick. In constructed, I don't think you'll see play. It does make me think about the. All I can think of is the Godzilla art on it. It's the Godzilla buy a box card.
Oh, the 7/3.
Yeah,
they care about power.
It cares about power. Your creatures only die if they take enough damage to kill them by their power.
So you play this on a 7/7. Hey, they have to deal 14 damage to this thing to kill it.
It's a great keep your creatures alive. Keep your big creatures alive. You put it on something that has trample, or like Alex said, double strike. You get in for a whole metric ton of damage.
Should we keep it moving here, boys?
Oh,
yeah.
One more point on Unleash Fury. If you're doing any kind of multiplayer format, this is hilarious when people attack each other.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So you just wait.
Then you're like, ha! I'm your
yeah. So then Chris attacks James, and James is like, yeah, I can take that. He's not even paying attention to me. And then I unleash Fury on his creature, double its power, and
or if you have people who play Infect in your play group.
Yeah. Which probably means you need to find a new play group and better friends.
Guess I'm looking for a new play group.
All right, what you got?
Just a quick note on Tide Skimmer. I've been looking at it. It's power and toughness are a little weak for a 4-mana card, but whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures with flying, you draw a card. Fantastic aggro card. I don't know if it'll see play in Constructed. It is, in my opinion, high up on the. If you're on that flyer deck in Limited, it's high up on that list.
There's a gold card that makes your stuff 1 cheaper if it's a flyer, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
There's that. There's the Empyrean that I was talking about that gives all flyers +1/+1. There's a lot of those.
Not in this set. It's insane.
Yeah,
not in this set.
For Constructed, I should say. Yeah. So
there are one from Ikoria that makes all your stuff 2 more to target.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see what this does. I don't think it will do much.
But even in Limited, like we talked about that Concordia Pegasus earlier, the Mistral Singer, this is at Common. Like, there are cheap flyers at Common that are good and worth playing. And so if you have Tide Skimmer and any of those, you're just getting cards. You're just going to grind it out.
I think it might be a deck you could toss together and take your FNM and really surprise some people.
Yeah, I think so.
Here's the gold card that you were talking about.
Hey, there's the gold card. Well, let's
jump to that first.
Talk about the gold cards. This is Watch with the Spheres. So it's a 2-mana, 2/2 flyer. Hey, remember before when we were talking about how good 2-mana, 2/2 flyers are?
It's a 2-drop.
2-drop, 2 power.
So good.
And guess what, guys? We've got some gravy. Creature spells with flying you cast cost 1 less to cast. So guess what? You can do this into that Tide Skimmer. as a turn progression, which would feel really good to have 4 power in the air on turn 3.
Yeah.
Feels pretty good. And also, but wait, there's more. When another creature with flying enters the battlefield under your control, Watcher of the Spheres gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So then you're getting even faster on the flying track. So if you can scrape together any number of flyers, if you open this, if you open Tide Skimmer, if you're in draft, obviously just scoop up almost every flyer you can get at that point. And
It's strongly supported. Yeah.
Flyer.deck is a thing, you know.
yeah, but blue-white flyers, guess what, guys? It's a thing for a reason. All right. I don't think this really goes much anywhere else. Though in Limited, it's still a 3-mana 3/3 that has first strike on your turn, so that's not bad. But we'll actually introduce the card. This is Radha, Heir to Keld. This is the 3rd version of Radha, I believe. So a lot of returning characters in this that they just really want to print again. But the first version of this, she was covered in blood, holding a head. So we've gotten a little less metal since then. So 1 red-green, 3/3 legendary creature, elf warrior. As long as it's your turn, Radha, Heart of Keld has first strike. So really just on the attack for you that will matter. However, the second ability is pretty cool. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play lands from the top of your library. So it's not ramp, because it's not an extra land drop. But it effectively draws you a card if the top card is a land. So if you're playing this in Limited, especially if you're a newer player and you want to pay attention to your sequencing. Because normally what a lot of people do is they'll draw a card for their turn and they'll drop a land down if they have one.
Yep.
Normally that's the right play. But if you have Radha down, you draw your card for turn and you check first. Because, hey, if that's a land on top, you play it, you just drew yourself a card from the top of your deck.
If you got something else to do with that land, toss it for a loot spell or something like that.
Sure.
Especially in red-green, red's got Thundering Voice and a few others. Or Tormenting Voice, I should say, and a few others that... discard to draw 2 or other things like that.
Yeah, you've got some options for there. And again, some graveyard matters. Maybe not as much in these colors, but if you're splashing for a 3rd, if you're splashing black maybe or blue, there might be things you could do if you're pitching cards with that. But then we've got one more ability, which is 4 red, a green. Radha gets +X/+X till end of turn, where X is the number of lands you control.
This card's good. 6
is a lot, but if you're getting to the end game and you haven't drawn anything and you've got the mana, if you're paying 6, unless you've got that Llanowar Visionary we were talking about before, you've got at least 6 lands. So you're turning this into at least a 9/9 with first strike.
The threat of activation is real. You can swing with this every turn and then just be like, you gonna do it? You gonna block? And then just, there you go.
Yep. You'll definitely get there.
Then double its power.
Yeah, and then unleash fury and double its power. You could, and I mean, if you're playing red-green anyway, you're looking at those beefy things. You've got your Garruk's Gorehorn. You've got a lot of 4+ power creatures. So if you're doubling, that's a great strategy, limited-wise. For Commander, getting to play off the top is helpful. So
Courser of Crufix?
Yep. Courser of Crufix, yep, it's another one of those.
Oracle of Moldiah.
It's half of an Oracle of Moldiah, because it doesn't give you the extra land play. But even so, I think this definitely fits in the 99 of any land matters deck. It's basically another Courser of Crufix.
Yeah.
There, if you have anything that gives you extra land plays, even something like an Explore as a one-shot, and obviously if you're moving into more expensive cards like Exploration, will definitely help you get there. As the commander, if you're running something like Sensei's Divining Top, if you can afford one and find one, even something as simple as a Crystal Ball that lets you scry every turn. So you move to your untap step, you scry 2, you leave the land on top, you play it with Radha, and then you're drawing the next thing to just try to keep to not draw lands if you just know that you can play them off the top. So that's a way that you can go about that. And then that second ability, you could get there with commander damage with this. And again, that first strike is really not going to want to have anyone be blocking it anyway. So not a bad card. I don't think it really gets there in Constructed. I don't really think it has a home as far as I know.
I feel like it will be played a little bit here and there because Azura is going to be in 21, I believe.
Oh, Azusa, yeah, which gets you 2 extra land plays, which is nuts.
She's in 21. Courser of Crufix was played. Granted, it gave you an extra life and had an extra toughness
and was only one color.
Loss of a power, but still, I feel like this could see some play. I wouldn't take bets on it though.
Okay, but yeah, not a bad card for Commander. For Limited, maybe in Constructed. We'll just have to wait and see. All right.
Sure.
We got another pack.
Yeah. then move your way. Transmogrify.
What the heck is that?
I don't think this card's good. I'll be straight up. I read it. I don't like it.
So 3 in a red. Exile target creature. That creature's controller reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card. That player puts that card onto the battlefield, then shuffles the rest into their library. If it wasn't for mana,
So we're talking. It's a red polymorph. Right?
yeah,
That's what we're talking about here.
yeah,
It's
I
like
believe
doing a
it's
chaos warp kind of thing.
Yeah.
It feels like.
Which we do have to say, it is exile. So if there's any graveyard shenanigans, this deals with that.
I'd be more interested if it's a target permanent, honestly. I feel a little better about it playing it in my spells deck. It's at sorcery speed, it costs 4. And limited, I don't think there's any way of making that cheaper. I don't think.
I still wonder though if you play it as an answer to bombs, because if you know that's that's their bomb, if they've got the dragon, which is terrifying. Yes, it would bolt you for 3 having to do it, but just dealing with it.
Sure. Well, you can assume if they got their bomb out that everything else in their deck is not
Gonna be below that.
yeah.
So you want it to be their bomb. Also, hey, guess what? This works on your creatures.
Yeah, that's true.
Which, if you're making little goblin wizards and you're like, okay, don't need this anymore, you can turn that into a real creature.
Yeah.
Like, not that that's the
I
best,
think
but
the play you're looking for there is like goblin token, and then you play your land, you scry, see what it is, keep it on top, and then you just 4 mana get your next thing for free.
yeah.
But
If you can set it up with any, I think because it's a bomb answer.
Sure.
I feel like this is definitely one of those where it's like game 2, game 3, they find their bomb.
Yeah.
You know,
Sideboard tech.
they find their big creature bomb. You know, or like Baneslayer Angel. You know, that's
Sure.
People
you
do
know,
open those cards.
that people open those cards, and that's a card that you answer the turn it comes out, or you lose to that card.
Yeah. Especially,
so-
if like for red, like you have to have 5 damage on a burn spell to like deal with something like a Baneslayer Angel.
And
you
a dragon
you might not get there.
And your dragon's not going to get there against a Baneslayer.
That's
because
true. Protection from dragons. So, but
I feel like it's fringe, very situational.
Yep.
Don't run it in your original 20 or your original 40.
Absolutely.
Definitely not constructed.
Though I will say, I'm fair. I haven't looked at the set too much, but I think this is the honorary weird red rare. Because almost every set has a weird red rare.
You're like, why is this?
And this is it. This is red polymorph, which polymorph was already a weird card.
Yeah.
So this is our weird red rare for the set. So honorary confetti
Thank you for showing
balloons
up.
for Transmogrify. You're the weird red card of the set. All right, so we'll move over here to me. All right, so we have Speaker of the Heavens. Angel Dude. So he is a 1 white for a 1/1 human cleric, Vigilance Lifelink, which he's a 1/1, so that might not matter too much.
Load him up with enchantments.
But you can tap him and you make a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. Too good to be true, you say? Well, maybe yes, actually. You can only activate that ability if you have at least 7 life, more than your starting total, and only anytime you can cast a sorcery. So I don't play nearly as much limited or constructed, but if you guys are starting with 20 life, how often do you see people getting to 27?
If the life gain deck is there, limited, I feel like
it can get there. In my opinion, it is the it's a 1/1 for 1 with Vigilance Lifelink. You're going to play 1/1s in your deck. You know, you need a 1-drop in your white deck in limited, and in constructed, white weenies may look at it as a card in their 60, as a one-of in their 60. I don't see it doing much in constructed, but limited, I feel like it's, worst case, it's a 1/1 with lifelink.
Here's what I like about the play pattern on something like that. You toss that down, and if you are in that life gain deck, there's the 2 mana spell that gets you 3 life, draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
Revitalize, yeah.
You load up on your revitalizes, you load up on just all of your lifelink creatures. They're not going to use the removal on this because it's not very menacing. They're going to...
until you get close to 27, and then maybe...
maybe so, but they're going to use the premium removal on your other threatening creatures if you have them. And then this guy's just hanging around like, all right, well, we're at 27. And they're like, oh, crap. And then you have an Angel Factory.
The other thing, looking at this set, there seems to be a lot of X and 1 cards, where this is, I'm perfectly fine trading in a 1/1 Vigilance into an X and 1.
3/1, a 2/1.
Yeah, 2/1, a 3/1. I'm just going to hit you, and, those early turns, I'm just going to keep hitting you. And you're not going to want to swing in because you don't want to take that trade, at the same time. And I'm just
going to the red-white, just like, crap gets +1, gets +2.
Yeah. I'll eventually get there. There's right there the makeshift battalion, which, comes from the one of the most recent Ravnica sets. Great card with this.
Sure.
Yeah, just more
other
creatures to attack.
One other creature attacking with it. You pump up stuff.
I think it's a card I draft and I'm more excited about than in sealed. Honestly,
I think even in draft though, I feel like you only take this if you're in the life gain deck.
Yeah.
I don't feel it's not good enough.
It's not pack one, pick one.
Passes it to me, I'm like, oh sure, I'll take that.
It's not pack one, pick one. If I'm in the white deck, especially like pack 2, I'll probably pick it right away. But
sure. Like if there's any even halfway decent removal, I feel like you take that over this.
Yeah.
So, but we mentioned a couple cards before. James was mentioning before just that reanimate spell. So here we are. We have Rise Again. So 4 and a black, return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So yeah, the self-mill deck.
That'll win games.
It's there. It's there. You. Oh no, my Colossal Dreadmaw died. Well, he rose again.
It's back. You killed it once.
Is it from your graveyard, right?
Yeah, it's only from your graveyard, so it's not a Rise from the Grave. I think could get back anything. I was thinking for a second, why didn't they just reprint Rise from the Grave? I'm like, oh yeah, that's any graveyard. This is just yours.
Yep.
So a little less good than that, but it brings it back as it is. I think Rise from the Grave made it a black zombie, which most of the time isn't a downside, but maybe it is if there's certain color-specific removal that people are playing.
Yep.
And so this card isn't exciting. However,
it's big.
It is big. It is a 7-mana 7/7 whale. Fun fact though, in Commander, Whelming Wave, I believe it will bounce whales back to your hand, which is so bring like serpents, kraken, leviathan, octopus, not whales, not fish, not even sharks. They did sharks recently; those go back too.
Yep.
So, but when you're coming out with new creature types, you can only include so many at a time. What I find interesting with this card, and I wish they do this with more cards. So beyond its static ability, it just has 1 and a blue. Discard Waker of the Waves. Look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put 1 in your hand and the other into your graveyard. It's like a quasi-cycling effect.
Kind of, yeah.
And I wish they would do that on more cards, even just kind of fairly plain cards, but just have some effect when you discard it. Because I feel like that's a bit of design space that they haven't used a whole lot. Like, yes, there's the cycling cards that's really specific to that, but even other cards, it's just like, hey, if you discard this, you get to do a thing.
Yeah.
And I just think that's the more design space angle that they could look into, because I think there's a lot of untapped potential there, especially when you have sets like this that care about stuff in the graveyard.
Or
Hey,
and you're like, hey.
You've got your Reanimator spell. I'm going to pitch this early and then bring it back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like on turn 5, get my 7/7 on turn 5. Like,
sure.
That seems good. And again, I just think that that's some play space, that design space that they should utilize more, because I actually think that that's really interesting, just from the gameplay mechanical point of view.
For sure.
There's my soapbox. Carry on, gentlemen.
Would you?
We're holding off.
I think we got something spicy coming down the pipe.
Did you see it?
I did indeed.
Okay.
Hey,
I mean,
we were talking about spirits before. Here's another spirit.
Another one.
Not much to say about that one.
So Ghostly Pilfer, 1 in a blue, 2/1 Spirit Rogue. It does look cool though. It's like a ninja with extra hands coming out of a wall. So that actually looks pretty
It's
sweet.
like a bad dream I had last week. Don't eat pizza and go to bed, guys.
Okay. Yeah. So when Ghostly Pilfer becomes untapped, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card. Whenever an opponent casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand, draw a card. Discard a card. Ghostly Pilfer can't be blocked this turn.
I love it.
So it's a discard outlet, and as we mentioned, there's things that care about the graveyard in this set, and this is just a free discard outlet, which, again, with reanimation and other stuff like that in this set, that could really help you out. So that'll be just damage that you can get through. I really like that second ability. It reminds me a little bit of the Dranith Magistrate they just printed in Ikoria.
Oh, yeah.
As a commander tech card, because that prevents opponents from casting spells from anywhere other than their hand. The command zone is not their hand.
Yep.
So that card just shuts people down from playing their commanders. This one, though, whenever they cast a spell from anywhere other than their hand, i.e. the command zone, draw a card.
Turns out people do
So
it
this
a lot.
says, hey, when your opponent casts their commander, draw a card.
Yep.
That's not bad. And
Yeah.
if you care about discarding at all in that kind of deck, like I have a Muldrotha deck that really cares about your graveyard. This might go in there, because this lets me put stuff in a graveyard. Muldrotha can still cast it, not a problem. And it's drawing me extra cards when they cast their commanders, or they're doing any kind of other, flashback, jumpstart, any of these other mechanics that care about the graveyard. You're getting cards out of that.
I will say a little bit of the upside, especially if you do care about discarding a card. It's unblockable. 2 damage is 2 damage. It's a clock. Not a fast clock, but it's a clock. And every single time that you untap it, you're gonna, especially in Commander, late into the game, a lot of the times you just have a whole lot of extra mana sitting around. And 2 mana to draw a card is a very relevant effect in Commander. I don't see it anywhere in Constructed, but...
I would say for Limited, I think, though, that this just gives you that inevitability of just 2, 2, 2. And if the game goes long enough and you're drawing lands late game, turn that land into 2 damage.
Last night, there was so much stuff that was just like, hey, did you draw a card? Get a bonus. Hey, did you draw a card? Go nuts. So.
Especially in green, as we were talking about before. There's a lot of things. It's weird that they're exploring that design space in green. That, hey, if you draw an extra card, you get some extra kind of effect. So if you're doing blue-green card draw, that's a deck, I think, in this limited format.
Yep.
Even the blue-green card
because drawing
actually cares about you drawing extra cards. It gets bigger when you draw extra cards. The
Double
lore scarecrow, I think it is.
Yep.
All right. A note, Opt. It's going to be played.
It's back.
It's good.
It's back. It's great.
I can't find any of these here.
I'm not.
People like these.
That's it.
They take them.
That's all I need to say about it. And then I pulled
what
out some.
James is telling you is come in and take his op so that he has to consider.
And then I just pulled out some limited All-Stars. I don't really know what to call it, but limited good stuff. 5 mana to destroy target creature or planeswalker at instant. Destroy target tap creature for 2 mana at instant, like we talked about.
Good.
Just remember, damage isn't done until you go to the damage part of combat, so they can attack. If you have a creature, I don't think it matters, but this is one of those fringe cases where, it matters on, destroy, on blocking a creature, you get a bonus or something, If you blocked a creature, you get something. I don't think there are any in this set, but remember, you can block a creature and destroy it.
Yep.
Or you need your creature to die or something like that, you can, or you gain control of their creature until end of turn. You can attack and, still kill it with spells, things like that.
Yeah.
That's where you want to be with that 1 mana sack spell. So
Yeah, there you
go. Kill it, draw cards.
There's all these interactions, and then I'll say...
Is there an active treason effect in this set?
4 mana, uncommon. Yeah.
Oh, that's right, the one with the dragon on it, yeah? Yeah, that's right. So yeah, that is a thing you can do.
And then Dub. Dub is good. It's an aura. You run the risk. When it's good, it's great. When it's bad, it's just you.
There is some protection in green for 1 mana, which is like a +1/+1, and I think hexproof.
Yeah.
The Ranger's Guile.
Yeah. But you're getting a removal or a piece of interaction out of them for this, and a lot of the times it will be on your 1/1 Vigilant Lifelink.
Yeah,
that's true. There's a lot of lifelink in the set. And throwing 2/2 and first strike on your lifelink guy is gonna feel real good.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Sure. So what is this spice that we had, James?
We got a hotcake.
Woo!
Foil Mythic Planeswalker.
Hello.
Cat.
All right. So for Commander, Planeswalkers usually don't get there most of the time, just because you have so many people at the table, it's going to die. So I'm going to pass this over to these 2 gentlemen right here. Wow, this was a spicy pack.
Okay.
Good pack, yeah.
So what is Mr. Bosriket?
Bosriket is a 3-mana Planeswalker. He comes down with 3 loyalty, which is, on par with most commanders. Or, not commanders, Planeswalkers. 3 mana for 3 loyalty. His downside in Constructed is probably the same downside in Limited, but not as much. His downside in Constructed is all of his +1 and his -2 real matter and only work if you have creatures on the board. He doesn't protect himself, which is kind of one of the issues I see in Constructed, and I don't know if he'll actually get there.
Yeah.
But he's exciting in the fact that so his +1 is put a +1 counter on up to 1 target creature, and it gains indestructible until end of turn. You can do it before before combat damage. You can do it before board wipe. If you're in the white blue deck, those decks will board wipe and things like that. -2 whenever one or more non-token creatures attack this turn, create that many 1/1 white soldier creature tokens that are tapped and attacking.
I think that's the mode you care about.
That's the mode that you care about, but once again, in Constructed, it is you leave him open by trying to get your value out of this.
And yeah, if you're being aggressive, you don't want to hold back something to block.
Yeah,
so if you get that one-time effect, you're like, is it really that good for that one-time effect?
Yeah. That's my concern. If you do, however, get, I can see him in the control deck because this reminds me of Lily.
Yeah.
Of the 3-mana Lily from, what is it?
The one that got reprinted, like the master sets and stuff.
Maybe. She's the one that gets XX zombie tokens +2 at the end of turn when you ult her.
Yeah.
So his ultimate -6, you get an emblem at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token, then put a +1 counter on each creature you control. So you're making a 2/2 every turn, and it doesn't state that you have to attack with them.
Yeah.
So you're making a 2/2 every single turn once you get that ultimate off. Which, and what I'm curious about is like those control decks and things like that or the tempo decks, the white-blue tempo decks that he goes up, ult him, he's gone. But you now have a 2/2 every single turn, and you're just going to go wide. I mean, it doesn't sound like much, but getting a guaranteed 2/2 every turn is relevant. And
definitely,
it can, in those tempo decks, you're eventually going to just go so wide that your opponent can't win, and that's all you're doing in that deck is just, I'm going to go eventually so wide that I win, and you can't do much to stop me because it's an emblem. Nothing can affect the emblem. So
I'd like to see how he interacts with some stuff in Historic, just some of the, like, because in Historic you still got Oath of Teferi hanging around and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a mid-range blue white deck.
I'm curious about him in Historic. I'm curious about him in Pioneer. I've been hearing or seen some talk of him in like a Soul Sisters style deck in Legacy, which I don't think will be tier 1 or anything, but it seems kind of interesting because the problem with those decks was it was always hard to go wide and always hard to get creatures to stick, but
Very cool.
I feel like in Limited you can probably speak more, but this is kind of, Planeswalker's Planeswalker in Limited.
Yeah, you play him.
Yeah.
Straight up. It's going to do stuff for you. Specifically in the green-white, go white shell with the counters. That's kind of where he's at home. Garruk's Uprising, I mean, this card it's all the things you want in an enchantment like this, stapled onto one. In his battlefield, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card, you get that benefit right up front. A lot of times you gotta wait to play another creature to get a benefit like that. Creatures you control have trample, awesome. You're going green, you want that. And then, again, creature power 4 or greater ETBs, draw a card. So, Commander players, go nuts.
I feel like appropriately, this is a card that is similar already in Commander called Elemental Bond.
Yep.
But because it's Garruk, appropriately is on steroids. So, the creatures have to be power 4 or greater instead of 3 or greater compared to the other enchantment. So, a little harder to get there. But you do get the advantage up front for the same mana cost, and it gives your creatures trample. And hey, guess what? If you're playing big creatures, you already want them to have trample.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a straight up replacement for Elemental Bond. I think you probably run both. Any deck that wants Elemental Bond probably wants this, unless you just have an overwhelming number of creatures that only have 3 power. But I could see this in Commander, especially with something like a Rampaging Baloths. Hey, I'm going to play a land, make a 4/4, draw a card, and that 4/4 has trample. Yep. Feels really good.
Yep. Primal Might, very generic fight card with a little bit of an upside. It's green on an X. Target creature gets XX and then may fight.
Yep, then it fights up to 1 target creature. So you don't have to fight with it.
You don't have to fight, so you can pump it before combat and swing in.
I'm putting this on my life-linking flyer. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, definitely. Life-linking flyer.
Or hey, that Speaker of the Heavens. It feels real good with that Speaker of the Heavens right there.
This is not constructed playable.
No.
Most fights
are not. This is a limited card.
This is, very much a limited card. Your a lot of those times, those fight cards, it's just like, I just need that one more tough or that one more power to get their guy. Well, this lets you have that option, but
And one thing to remember too, it's
For sure.
you can pay nothing into the X.
Mhm.
If you want, this can just be prey upon.
Oh, yeah.
Just one green
I like that. I like
target
that.
creature. It won't get any
In the
bonus,
second mode.
but
Yeah.
it'll fight something. So it's at the worst prey upon,
Yeah.
which is a card you play in limited all the time anyway.
Yeah.
And then you got upside. And for Commander, I don't think this is going to go in a lot of things in Commander. However,
Do you want that in your X cost?
that's the thing, that new Zuxara, the Exemplary, where it makes, basically if you ever cast an X spell, it'll make a free XX Hydra for you. And also, Zuxara has Death Touch already.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
this will kill anything when you do the fight, and you pay enough into the X, you get a free Hydra with it too. So definitely something worth playing. And I didn't know if you guys had mentioned it before, just with Planeswalkers, one little bit of a just limited tech. Planeswalkers are usually big and splashy and scary in some capacity. And so even if they don't synergize with the rest of your deck, they'll kind of protect you in a way, because your opponents are going to
That's true.
dedicate resources, because you might not care about 1/1 counters one bit.
It's
with
Planeswalker
Basri.
trigger happiness. People
Planeswalker
see-
trigger happy. Like, they see Basri and they're like, okay, he needs to die.
If I look
And
it up
even
for
if you
one
don't
turn-
support him at all, he's going to soak up damage for you
Oh, yeah.
and
Which
get you
gets
other
the
benefit.
damage on board.
So almost any Planeswalker, I think, is worth playing for that alone, just because it's a little bit of a mind game with your opponent. So extra gravy on any Planeswalker. you
Core
play.
19, I
Well-
played Zombies Lily. I had one zombie in my deck.
There you go.
Didn't matter. Still played her.
Yep.
I mean, you get his, like I said, you get his ultimate off, and that's a 2/2 creature every turn at least.
Yeah.
So
Love it.
creature
All
every
right.
turn is fantastic.
I do just want to mention, that's a sick weird token.
Weird, dude.
And
Man,
I
that's
don't.
weird.
I think the only other weird token was from a card back in like original Ravnica block Dissension, and it was bad. I think it was 3 mana, 2 and a blue with Replicate, and you made a 3/3 weird with Flying and Defender that went away at the end of the turn.
Boo.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I
you
think
can
it
pay
did,
6
yeah.
mana for 2 3/3s
if I'm
that
gonna
go
be
away
dumb
at the end of the
about
turn.
it,
And they have
yeah.
Defender. You couldn't even use it to, haste attack with them or anything. So at least this weird, I think, will go a lot more places, and in a sense, that's weird.
Nice.
All the puns. Carry on.
Fire Emancipation.
Hey, Commander players.
This card rocks. Torbrand? Yes, please.
Oh, yeah.
Limited.
Hey, do you want some more Torbrand with your Torbrand? Here's more Torbrand with
It
your Torbrand.
triples your damage output
Woo!
to a permanent or player. So it doesn't matter what you're trying to hit. It's going to triple it.
And I'm pretty sure you can stack the trigger so that Torbrand goes first.
That's right.
So if you have a lowly 1/1, if you have a 1/1 in red, if you have Scorch Spit or something, well, Scorch Spit is even better.
Yeah.
But so fine. Okay, so
Screw
we'll go old school. We're gonna talk like Mons Goblin Raiders.
Yeah, there
One
you go.
mana,
Alright.
1/1 Goblin.
Yep.
If you have Torbrand and this out, your Torbrand will add 2, so that's 3 damage. And then guess what? You triple it, so your 1/1 just dealt 9 damage.
Heck yeah.
That's insane.
Now notice for Fire Emancipation, you don't have to be having red permanents dealing the damage.
Oh, it's not just
It's
red.
any damage, yeah.
Oh,
So as long as you can cast that sucker,
Oh,
whatever's
yeah.
coming over at him, it gets tripled.
Your red green.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
dinosaur
were
deck.
talking red, green, stompy earlier.
Yeah, this
Red,
card
green,
is a
stompy.
blowout.
Mhm.
You get this down, it sticks, you win the game essentially.
I will touch 6 mana. No, not a thing in
Sure.
standard.
I want this
Standard.
card for Brawl. I want to build around it a lot.
Yeah, but for Brawl, for Commander, anything that's just a pinger, if you're running, Gutter Snipe, Gutter Snipe, 6 damage every spell you do,
Okay.
even Firebrand Archer, which is half a Gutter Snipe, a bolt to...
There's a 2 mana
to the play.
2/2 that you tap and pings your opponent in this set.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this will get you there. And again, like he was saying, any red-green stompy at all,
Just give
hey,
it
you're
up.
trample guys, let's triple that damage.
Let's go crazy.
I think this goes in most. It doesn't even have to be creature based, but I feel like it's mostly going to be creature based commander decks that have red. I'm pretty sure you're going to want this in there.
Does it?
What's it CMC? It's,
6.
6.
Yeah.
So it's not
Limited-
it's not
limited,
loaded
it's
round,
kind of-
it's not aggro. You're because you want to do things after 6.
Right.
So any kind of limited aggro. I don't know if you play it in limited. Do you?
I was thinking for Obosh. For
Oh.
Commander.
But
he's
it's
odd.
6.
Yeah.
But it's 6. Does it get there in limited? Is this your finisher in limited?
Yeah, so I think if you're creature heavy, I think you can get away with slapping this down on turn 6 or 7, and then just swinging, and whatever gets through just demolishes them.
Yeah.
Like I do think it's a bomb.
I feel like in limited though, it's still also it's probably your 18th of your 24 playables or 23 playables. Not something that you're gonna build around, but it's kind of like one of those sweet pieces where it's like, oh look, I found this late, I got
if you're already ramping, I think
I got past this as the last pick, or like third to last pick in a pack, and I just picked it up. Sure, not a bad thing.
It's good.
It's not something.
It's good in red green. It's good in red blue.
It's great in those decks. I don't know.
Shock.
I just don't know how good it feels seeing it early.
Yeah, it's always going to feel bad early, I think.
So.
And then if you get enchantment, if it rots in your graveyard, you're even sadder.
Yeah,
that's true.
So.
Miscast. I've been hearing things about that for multiple formats.
Yeah, miscast. So, 1 blue, counter target instant or sorcery unless its controller pays 3.
So it's mana leak for...
It's mana leak for
instance,
instants and sorceries. I will say there is Dispel in older formats, but in standard...
Well, I think Dispel's only instants, though, right?
It is only instants.
Okay.
So this will hit their sorceries, too.
But this is, standard. This is probably playable. I've been seeing a lot of sideboards with it. It's playable in standard. Older formats, you start, modern, you start running into different things. Modern now actually has the same card Legacy does of Flusterstorm, which doesn't, initially pay 3, but it makes them pay 2 if it's only the 2 spells that you cast. You start running into Spell Pierce and things like that are just as mana efficient and can target more than just instant sorcery. So standard playable, yes. Older formats, not really. Okay. Commander, probably not.
You generally want your counter spells in Commander to hit way more things. So you run Negate because that's almost that's going to be half of things. Or obviously your counter spell, your Arcane Denial. You're going to run stuff like that, and obviously crazier stuff like Force of Will if you've got the budget for it. So I definitely don't think it gets there in Commander. In Limited, I think it's just too narrow because it's mostly creature-based strategies anyway.
It's too cute.
If they're playing spells, sure, and obviously there's stuff like that even at Common. For Spellgorge are weird. Who cares about people playing spells?
Yeah.
So.
If you're in a mirror matchup and they're trying to tap out for their 5 mana blow you out spell, then you just get them with that and get some benefit.
That's true.
Probably more of a sealed sideboard kind of deal.
Fair enough. And hey, we were talking about some mill earlier, especially if you're drawing lots of cards with Peer from the Abyss.
This is a thing now.
It is a thing now. I don't know if there's enough support. There's still a lot of it in this set. I know Eldraine had pretty good mill support that you could get even at the common level.
Yeah.
This, I think, for Commander, if your deck is already running things like Psychic Corrosion, like Sphinx's Tutelage, like Jace's Erasure, you want this card.
It is target opponent, though, isn't it?
It is just target opponent, so it's not each. Though I will point out, this is the first card I think that I saw that pointed this out. Mill is a keyword now.
Woohoo!
We've been calling it Mill forever because of a card called Millstone, which has existed forever in Magic terms.
Yeah, I almost want to say, I think Millstone is in Alpha Beta.
Oh wow, that long ago.
I want to say.
So it goes back that far, but it's a keyword now. I like it whenever they can do this. There are certain card effects that are so ubiquitous. They're in so many things, and they'll find ways to shorten it. It used to be things like menace not that long ago wasn't a keyword. It just this creature has to be blocked by 2 or more creatures. And then just shortening it, then you can do more things with effects that are really simple, and you just put more text on there because you don't have to fill it out nearly as far. And so how old is Mill? Do we have an answer?
Revised.
So not quite at the beginning.
Almost.
But almost as close as you can get.
About 4 sets away.
Almost as close as you can get. But yeah, James, I know you were just talking about the other day facing down 2 of these.
Oh, yeah.
How did that make you feel, James?
Well, they already had 1 down, and then turn 6, they slapped down a second one, and then went opt-opt.
Oh.
And I just wanted to cry. In fact, I might have cried. So yeah, it's a real card. Milling out your opponents with that card is a thing. You want to main deck your naturalizes and stuff like that, because that card will get you.
If you're in best of 3. keep it in your sideboard. You still probably don't main board those, but as soon as you see one,
I don't know.
you board it in.
There's Face Fetters, there's Capture Sphere.
Just saying, Return to Nature is the
That's
one
the
right
one.
now.
Yep.
And it does have the upside of exile target card from a graveyard. So one in the main board is, in a sealed deck is not going to be too bad. In a limited deck, limited you might move away from it, especially if it's best of 3 instead. But
if you're doing something like Two-Headed Giant, you only get the one game anyway. You've got 2 opponents to pick from. One of them is going to be doing something with artifacts or enchantments or graveyard, and you're going to want it. Though I don't think artifacts is really supported in this set, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't think it's really a supported archetype.
Nope.
Oh.
So, and we do have a fancy kitty with the Bowser frame. It's not quite as standout as the other ones. It almost looks faded in the corner.
Yeah, there's some blur action
with the mana cost. So I don't know if that was just an issue with the printing. If we find another one and it looks the same, then we'll know that that's intentional. But if not, we'll assume that's how it's supposed to
I
go.
love how the commons got showcase action. That cracks me up.
Yep.
All right. Hey, speaking of fancy frame cards, we'll get a rare one. Liliana Standard Bearer. So I like this card. 2 and a black. For a 3/1 Zombie Knight, so hey, your zombie decks or your knight decks, if you're running Sir Gwyn and you're a dedicated Sir Gwyn player, hats off to you because not many people are willing to play a 6-drop in Mardu for commander. But yeah, so 3 mana, 3/1 Zombie Knight with Flash. When it enters a battlefield, draw X cards, where X is the number of creatures that died under your control this turn.
Ooh.
So note that it says creatures under your control. So this might help you out a little bit post-board wipe, but it's not going to count everything that died. But if you're doing any kind of deck, sacrifice effects, maybe something like a Marin of Clan Neltoth sort of deck, or anything that just wants creatures to die all the time, this will draw you a ton of cards. Also, it doesn't say non-token. So all of your tokens,
where it's at, right?
it counts.
Yep.
It will get you there.
This one went under my radar, and now I need to look up the Oracle text. Because
When the Oracle text just came out.
it should be, yeah, cat combo though.
Oh, so when it would enter
I wonder if
the number of creatures that died. So I think if
Yeah.
it died
Yep, it
multiple
does.
times,
That would count.
that
It
counts.
counts for each time that a creature enters the graveyard.
Plus, this is only 3 mana, so it's not that outside the reach
So
of
I
said
could-
cat deck.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that as a 2 in that deck. A 3/1 flyer because that is some extra spicy reach. That you can just.
3/1 flash. 3/1 flash.
Oh,
3/1
flash!
flyer. Yeah.
Not quite as good, but 3 power is still 3 power.
I like it's got like 2 modes.
It
That's
is.
true. So it is a 3. So if nothing died,
Yeah.
it's a 3 mana 3/1 with flash. Which in limited especially, I think you still play just because it can kill something. This could be
It's a combat trick that they swing their 7/3 into you because they think you're open.
We know there's a Gurk's companion, so if you just need to block
It's
it,
good design right there.
then you can do it.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
and it looks really cool with the purple frame.
Keep an eye on in
So
constructed
Conrad,
then.
Just sack my board.
oh yeah, get a bunch of damage
Play
from
it.
Conrad. Play this, draw a bunch of cards,
crazy.
refill the hand,
Oof.
and nothing else super spicy in this pack. So we'll carry on, guys.
Sure.
Blurfist Oak for the foil.
That card's good.
Uncommon. Looks good. Whenever you draw a card, he gets +2/+2 until end of turn. I like how it says whenever you draw a card.
Yeah.
So if you
Counts each of them.
opt, you get a very, very beefy boy.
Yep.
On your draw step, I mean, it's
Yeah, on
it's now
on your
4/5.
turn.
It's
Yeah,
a 4/5
4/5
on your turn all the time.
This card's best friends for blue green, and it's best friends for green red. Oh, this card.
Hey,
Brash Taunter, 5 mana, indestructible 1/1. Whenever he deals damage, whenever he is dealt damage, it deals that much to an opponent, and then it can fight another creature and tap it for 2 and a red.
So is this 5 mana 1/1 constructed playable, Chris?
I will say, what's the doll?
Stuffy doll.
Stuffy doll was playable at one point in a weird French deck.
Cool.
This could be playable in
I
a
like
weird
cards like
French
this.
deck. It just seems fun. Out in constructed, stay away. Unless you're gonna be the stuffy doll guy. Just remember those decks always
crop up every so often.
Crop up every so often and fall flat on their face every once in a while.
That's true. All right, James. You have 5 mana, 1/1. Does it see limited play?
I mean, yeah, you play this in limited because it's just like the God blocker, so they can keep coming at you, and you can keep, because what, it hits it, and then like you deal damage equal to how much it took.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, they keep coming at you. I mean, it's the fight mode, I think, is where you want to be at on that card. So you can play it. It's that blocker. If you're getting beat down in the air, it's a horrible card. But if they're rumbling on the ground, and then you can activate that fight mode, post combat. So like they hit you, and then you activate the fight mode. It's like a 2-for-1.
That's true. Well, and also, I don't know if Chris mentioned it earlier. This is a goblin. So for all of you goblin decks out there that need another goblin, this is one for you. One thing that I think makes this better than Stuffy Doll, because Stuffy Doll, I believe, is a 0/1. It could ping itself, so you always had that guaranteed 1, but Stuffy Doll was locked into the player that it picked. So if we're sitting down playing Commander, I play Stuffy Doll, I pick Chris. It's only going to deal damage to Chris no matter where the damage is coming from. This I can pick, so you actually have a little more flexibility with this, and it just getting to fight too. Granted, it's 3 mana. I think Stuffy Doll just had to tap itself. But just being able to, okay, there's a 6/6 on the board, which in Commander is no big thing. And you'll see way bigger creatures than 6/6s. You just make this fight it.
I will say there's the cute interaction of you block their big thing and then you tap it and have it fight their big thing.
So then it's dealt the damage twice?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That feels real good.
There's that cute little interaction. Don't block the Trampler, though, because the Trampler only has to assign lethal damage, which is 1. Just remember that.
Though you're still getting the... Oh, that's right, because only 1 damage would be dealt to this and the rest... Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. The fight would still work.
The fight would work, yes.
The fight would still work, but as a blocker blocking a Trampler, I mean, if you just have to block, then sure. But otherwise, you're not getting that much more damage out of it.
You're at 6 life and they swing the Colossal Dreadmaw at you. You're going to block with this no matter what.
True.
But...
You know where I like to be and brawl for this? Just Starve Extinction.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Just take them out.
Yep.
I mean, it's jank, but it's cute.
That's true. And even in Commander, Fire Song and Sunspeaker, I think, is that deck now. It's the red damage-based board wipe deck. Mm-hmm. And you want Stuffy Doll in there, you want this in there, you want your triple damage dealer so that when you have that and then play Starve Extinction on this and dome someone for 60, and you feel real good about it.
Cool.
So yeah, I pulled out Rewind. You're gonna see it. It's gonna be in your blue-green flash decks. It works great with the Night Pack Ambusher, the Wolf, right?
It's super good.
So you rewind into their turn, you flash in your Wolf. You are in a happy spot.
You're on top of the world with that.
Yeah, but so you're gonna see it in Constructed probably. I'm outside of that deck, I don't see it much. Just know that it's there in Limited too. If they have 4 blue up and they're playing a flash deck, know that thing is that's a thing, and try to bait it with the spell that you don't really care if they counter, but
sure. And the one is we've seen in black too. Like there's a lot of like blue-black is the flash.
Yeah.
The flash deck this time around.
Yeah. Just keep an eye out if they're running a lot of flash things, or they have 4 mana open. No, you're not going to be that safe, especially if they've been doing a mana sink every end step. Don't think you're going to be that safe. Just be aware of it. Yeah. That's all it is ever with those counter spells.
When they get you with it, it's a blowout.
Yep.
Yeah. And I will point out, I mean, this is still Magical Christmas Land, but with your Fiery Emancipation, because the math is way better than I thought. If you have these 2 out and you play Star of Extinction, that's a source you control, so it's dealing triple damage.
Yeah.
So it's not dealing 20 to your Brash Taunter. It's dealing 60.
Oh my god.
And then this is going to deal 60 to an opponent times 3. You just dealt 180 damage.
Love it.
If you need your personal achievement where you're dealing so much damage with a single spell, besides infinite mana, I think that gets you there. Yeah, I think that gets you there. You're gonna feel real good about yourself, and you will remember that play forever.
Feels good against Soul Sisters.
I just got 2 cards out of this last pack. King Glidemaster, that's the one you went into. Give target creature flying until end of turn. Notice that it's not a tap ability. You can just sink it multiple times. So 2 mana, 2/1. You're already doing good.
You know who his best friend is?
Yeah.
I think it's that Colossal Dreadnought that we opened earlier. So there's your 2 commons. There's a way to end the game. You're a 6 mana,
You can
6/6 flying trample.
the trailer scene from Jurassic Park with 2 Colossal Dreadnoughts.
There you go. There you go. And then if you're playing in Standard, you play Kogla, the Titan Ape from the last set, and then you've got not Godzilla fighting 2 T-Rexes.
I love it.
Flying somehow.
I'm in.
All right, we have our shrine. So this was the legendary shrine. I thought it was mythic. It's only rare, but still though. So it's Wooburg. It's all 5. This is Sanctum of All, legendary enchantment. It's a shrine. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library and or graveyard for a shrine card. Put it on the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. Second part. If an ability of another shrine you control triggers while you control at least 6 or more shrines, that ability triggers an additional time. That second part, for limited, is never going to happen. You are not going to get 6 shrines.
If you do, hats off to you.
If you do, if you get the magic packs where you open this and 6 shrines, which works out to 6 or more, that could be including this. Mm-hmm. So you have to open a shrine in all 6 packs. Then I think you're legally obligated to go for it.
I'll tell you what though, if you are in a draft pod and people don't prioritize it, you can pack one, pick one this feasibly, and then just pick up the rest that you need.
Sure.
If people aren't prioritizing the shrines.
Just remember they're all legendary though, so
yeah.
If you do want the icing on top that this gives of the second ability, you need to find one of each color.
Not good, but like kind of an achievement unlocked, like mini game you can play.
Yeah. Sure. Well, I think just casting a Wooburg spell in limited gives you a achievement unlocked.
This is when your draft is really not going well, or you just want to
and also
really try to have fun.
Need to win.
But they're printing these that are even in the basic land slot.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen though an artifact that you got Prismite who can help filter your colors. You even have Meteorite, which will tap for any color.
You will.
So there are some common and uncommon ways that you can get there. If you don't have any fixing though, even if you have the shrines, I don't think you go there. If you don't have a reasonable way to get to all 5 that doesn't hurt you too bad, because this is removal. It's bad removal, but it's removal. This is a piker, which aren't great, but you'd play it. If you don't have another way to get there, though, I really don't think you get there.
It's the obligatory whatever 5-color card of the set.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And I think if you're a commander player and you want to do the all shrines,
go nuts.
You have some good tutors for this. You're in black.
I believe there are some
you have black
older
tutors.
Shrines too from Kamigawa, anyways.
Yeah, from the original Kamigawa. And they care about the number of shrines you have, so that'll work with your deck. You're not getting any more though than 11 because you've got the 5, 1 in each color from this, 1 in each color from the old set, and this one. So you're at 11.
So you will probably like Enchantment Matters deck.
There might be a land or two as well.
Okay.
That's true.
It's a shrine.
Yeah, or it might be in the name. I don't know if it actually has the type of shrine.
I don't
because
remember.
I think that's only on enchantments. But you could be in some kind of 5-color enchantress deck.
Sure.
You run your classic green-white core for enchantress, and then you just run a couple other really good enchantments that are in the other colors. Yeah, you could definitely get there if you want to.
Yeah. All right. Table Passage.
Hey-o.
We've seen it.
It's back.
You know what it is.
Card.
It's back. It's
You want it.
You want it.
Hey, speaking of fixing in 5-color.
Fixing 5-color, fantastic. Get you a basic.
Actually, did Evolving Wilds get printed in this set?
It did.
It did.
Okay.
I believe so.
Then yeah. So again,
good.
So
It's gonna see standard play. See a little modern play. Not much outside of modern. Not a ton outside of standard, I should say. You know, play it. It's fixing.
And in Commander, I'm typically a budget Commander player. It's slightly better Evolving Wilds. I'm probably just going to run Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse. If I have one, sure, we'll throw it in there. Most of the time, though, it's not going to make much difference.
You're in your 5-color deck. That's where it makes the difference in Commander. I feel like.
Yeah. So we have a shiny alternate frame Guruk's Uprising. Wait, these in the same pack?
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Back, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got two alternate frames with a Teferi's Tutelage and a shiny Guruk's Uprising.
Yep. And then run afoul.
I don't see a chicken on this card, sir. There's no foul on this card.
One green. Target opponent sacrifices a creature with flying.
There it is.
Hey-o! Hey, there's your...
That's your combo at combat. That's how you get them.
You know,
that's
how you get
that
them.
is foul, sir.
I will say it will see play in Standard because Dream Trawler.
Oh, yeah.
It gives itself hexproof. You know, you can't target it or remove it, and usually it is their only flyer.
Also, Crassus.
Crisis, yeah.
Crisis is also.
Yeah, I feel like this card was printed to answer Dream Trawler, and it is pushed in that way to answer Dream Trawler. So you'll see it in sideboards. If you're running the Dream Trawler deck, and that is your only flyer, know that you're gonna be run afoul.
Your Dream Trawling days are over.
You know, Dream Trawler's still bomb, fantastic card. This is just gonna pop up every once in a while, and you're gonna be like, well, hopefully I have my counterspell or something.
There you go. Alright, so here's one of the other shrines, the blue one. I don't think we've opened one yet. So this is a 3 and a blue legendary enchantment shrine. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may draw X cards, where X is the number of shrines you control. If you do, discard a card. I think you play this even if you have no other shrines.
There's so much card draw payoff. Just
card draw payoff, graveyard payoff. It's just looting.
Yeah.
You just get a loot at your pre-combat main phase. So you still get to draw for turn, and then you're drawing for this, and then you discard a card.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you want that.
It's good. It's just good. Like, and as long as you're not dying to aggro, yeah, solid card. Even with no other shrines, it gets way better. Like, one more shrine makes this, okay, now you're actual card advantage. You're not just looting anymore.
Yep.
And then we have a very flavor card with 9 lives. So we have a cat with all of its, I don't know if those are spirit cat ancestors. It is pretty sweet artwork. Also, I think, I can't tell, but
Is it Johnny in there? Please tell me.
It's a little hard to... Some of them I can be like, this is that particular card. So there's a cat here with like antlers. I think that's Kahira from Ikoria. There's a cat with like a helmet kind of thing. I think that's Kemba. One with a lot of like dreadlocks almost. I think that's Marisi, Breaker of the Coil.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little hard to tell who some of the others are. But yeah, I think this is actually specific legendary cat creatures from Magic's history, which is freaking awesome. Big flavor win. So yeah. And speaking of the flavor, it works that way mechanically. So it's 1 white for an enchantment. It's hexproof. If a source would deal damage to you, prevent that damage and put an incarnation counter on 9 lives. When there are 9 or more incarnation counters on 9 lives, exile it. When 9 lives leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. So, this is an individual source. So if they're doing any kind of tokens, this card's bad.
Yep.
It's really, really, really bad.
3 hits, 3 counters. It stacks so quick.
Yep, it stacks so quick.
Also pings.
One really fun place I see this deck, though, is if you're playing Zedru the Great-Hearted in Commander, and that lets you give permanence to other people. So if you have any way to like damage yourself and get it almost there, and then give it to someone else,
yep.
And then you're drawing cards off of it and gaining life from Zedru, and then if anyone hits them, like, they just die.
Yeah.
Which I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
Fun card.
Fun card.
I don't think it... I think besides, like, really niche plays like that, I don't think it really has a home much of anywhere. I built a cat deck for my wife, and while this is super flavorful...
You just don't do it.
I think I'm too good of a husband to give my wife a bad card for her cat deck.
I've been hearing talk that this might see play in blue-white control because there is the end my turn spell. So you put the exile on the stack. The exile resolves. The lose the game goes on the stack.
It never comes back, right?
Yep. Yeah. And then you end the turn. Because remember, it's a triggered ability because it has left battlefield.
So this has been exiled.
Mm-hmm.
The last ability goes on the stack, and you just immediately end the turn.
Yep, and you end the turn and you get rid of the last ability.
Love it.
It saves you a lot of damage. It's very niche. A lot of people have been, I've been seeing that, yes, you should run it in your sideboards. No, you shouldn't. Yes, you should. No, you shouldn't. So I know the end your turn spell will get played as a 1 of or 2 of, because it is
Especially
2 mana on your turn.
For certain combo decks, especially.
It is 2 mana on your turn. It is a lot of mana on their turn. I think it's like 6. So, granted, it's not the best because you're going to be looking at paying 6 for that. But,
Also, if you have any stifle or disallow kind of effects.
Stifle, disallow, those kind of effects. The other trick is to bounce it and reset it. You put the bounce.
No, but as soon as this leaves the battlefield, you lose the game.
It goes on the stack and you end your game. So it's 2 mana. So you have your 3 mana bounce permanent, the legendary guy that we were talking about earlier.
Baron, yeah.
Baron, so that's...
I think he can only do creatures and planeswalkers.
Yeah.
I don't think he can hit enchantments.
I don't remember. But, one of those kind of interactions of you can bounce it back to your hand, or, Teferi on the battlefield. You can bounce it back to your hand. That goes on the stack. You end your turn for 2 more mana. You're good to go. You now have 9 lives back in your hand, and you didn't lose the game. So... it's one of those things that, because of the way they worded it and how it's broken up into each individual section,
that's true.
There is a break. So it does go in the stack after it leaves the battlefield.
Yeah, I suppose if it had said when there are 9 or more incarnation counters on this, you lose the game.
Yeah.
Right then you wouldn't really have as much chance.
Then you don't have any chance or anything like that. But the way they worded it. There's going to be niche plays like that, and your higher level players might find a way to abuse it, but I don't see that happening much at all, or if any. Cool showcase, and then my favorite legacy vintage card that is now playable.
Oh yeah.
Containment Priest.
Isn't this a commander card first?
It was a commander card, and it's been a commander card for a long time. Hence the reason only Legacy and Vintage could play it in the constructed formats.
Hello, Standard and Modern and Pioneer.
Now we have this lovely, lovely lady. Containment Priest, if you don't know, is 1 and a white. It has flash, and if a non-token creature would enter the battlefield, and it wasn't cast, exile it instead. So
shuts down a lot of degenerate nonsense.
It shuts down a lot of graveyard shenanigans. It shuts down cheating in effects, which in Standard currently isn't being played, but it's like Perforos and things like that. In Legacy, it's your Show and Tell and your Sneak Attack.
Yeah. Very cool.
It's your Goblin guy, or your Goblin deck that pulls in
Goblin Wacky.
Yeah, that pulls in other goblins. So seeing this in Modern, Standard, Pioneer, Historic, it'll be interesting. I don't think it's like a huge shakeup.
Sideboard tech mostly.
It's definitely sideboard tech, but to see it in a Standard format is going to be interesting.
Law magic, baby.
Yep.
Thou shalt not.
And I will point out, one of the new Jumpstart Legends that's a goblin, I believe it looks at the top 6 cards of your deck and puts all goblins from there into play immediately. And Containment Priest was printed and commander set for a reason, to prevent some degenerate things like that. And I think that's that goblins enter the battlefield trigger. So if you can come in, slap down a Containment Priest, and
See ya.
They lose that. And I think even in limited play, it's a 2/2 for 2 with flash.
Yep.
I think you play it.
Yep. That's not going to be a pick one, but it's going to be something that you're not going to be.
Graveyard stuff.
You're not going to be too upset having it in your deck.
That's true. I don't think we've seen the card that makes it yet. Here's a 4/4 construct. It's in the set, which looks pretty sweet. Oh, this is a pretty one.
Nice.
Again, just a basic, but having that purple in there.
Love
I always thought that all the coolest swamps had purple, and this one goes the extra mile.
Yes.
So, and one thing to remember with these, with the lands, with pretty much any of the cards in the set, with a lot of these new sets where they do some kind of alternate frame, I think even starting back in Theros Beyond Death most recently, The prices for these are high to start because they're really novel. They look really cool, and so the prices will be really high. But they usually the print quantity on them is really high. Like we've seen a lot of these in just one box. There's going to be a lot of them floating around. So yes, there's a premium on them compared to the original, but don't go crazy out of your way.
What I would add on that is Theros was every pack, and this is not every pack.
That's
so they're a little more chase, but you know.
But like again, we've still seen a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So far.
You can probably go into your LGS a couple weeks from now and just pick up the ones you want.
That's true.
People are going to be trading them because they're going to be worth money off the bat.
Yeah. Well, and I can see too, like, you know, commander player, especially if you want like all your basics to match. Like, all right, I want a cool Liliana deck that has all these like Liliana purple swamps. You know, you go grab a bunch of these if you can.
Yeah.
And for our rare, Idol of Endurance. Ooh. I was actually thinking about this card for a deck here recently. We'll talk about it in a minute. So yeah, new artifact. I like that they're doing more colored artifacts now. I think they started doing it a little more. I mean, technically, they've gone all the way back to New Phyrexia and original Theros, I think, is where you started seeing some colored artifacts. But I like that they're doing it now. Just artifacts that feel a little more color affiliated, like the Witch's Cauldron in this set is black. I think that's kind of a cool place to go. But anyway, 2 and a white artifact. When this enters the battlefield, exile all creature cards with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard until Idol of Endurance leaves the battlefield. 1 and a white and tap it. Until end of turn, you may cast a creature spell from among the cards exiled with it without paying its mana cost. So you have to pay 2 and then activate it, but then you're getting something that costs 3 or less after that without paying any additional cost. So this cares about cards that are small converted mana cost in your graveyard. I have a Flying Men deck. And hey, Flying Men, those are all 1 mana, 1/1 flyers, or sometimes even 1/2 now. And just being able to get a bunch of those back every turn for 2 mana seems pretty good. And also, if you're worried, oh no, what if they blow this up? If this leaves the battlefield, everything exiled with it goes right back in your graveyard, so you don't have to worry about getting blown out in that sense. But if you're playing white and you're not kind of doing any more reanimation, there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all. For limited play, I don't know. Though I guess you are playing a lot of creatures that cost 1 and 2 and 3 just to fill out that early curve slot, and just getting their value again later in the game is probably enough to get you there. Only, I think, though, if you have a really high level of creatures.
The problem with this card, though, is that it snapshots. So when it enters the battlefield, anything that is in your graveyard at that time gets exiled. Anything that enters afterwards does not.
It's not like a bag of holding.
So,
sure.
So that's where I see it in, at least definitely constructed. It's not playable. It's not going to be in constructed because it only snapshots, and you don't want it sitting in your hand. Cards sitting in your hand, especially in constructed formats, are very rough. You know, it's because and then there's things like Scavenging Ooze and other things like that prey upon the graveyard so much. In limited, I don't know. I haven't.
You might drop this late game in order to get your pieces back, but I feel like by that time you're probably already lost.
And you're only getting back probably really low impact creatures at that point too. So
maybe in the life gain deck, you're trying to get back some small life linkers or something like that. But I think you play it. Like, I don't think you don't play it. But it's rough. I feel like you'll know when it's good, and you'll obviously know when it's bad.
Yeah, and I think there's certain decks for Commander where if you know you're going to be putting a lot of things in the graveyard and being able to get them back, or if you know things are going to go there anyway, maybe like the new Teysa, where you have a lot of things dying, and you have stuff, like Falconwrath Noble and Zulaport Cutthroat and Blood Artist that are all, I guess Falconwrath Noble's 4 converted mana cost, so that one won't work. But a lot of those other like really cheap creatures that give you that kind of ping effect, and you usually have a lot of other really small creatures in that deck that are either your free sack outlet or they're providing you some kind of extra value to be able to get back. I'm really picturing this in Commander right off the back of a Peer from the Abyss. When you just drew half your deck and you're going to have to put a lot of it in the graveyard at the end of your turn, and then you follow that up with this, and you get all those things basically as part of a second hand that you could do in some kind of like white-black weenie sacrifice sort of deck, which is where a Teysa would come into something like that.
Or Hate Bears.
Or Hate Bears, yeah. And again, if you're doing mono white Hate Bears, you need all the help you can get, and getting redundancy off those Hate Bears will definitely help get you there.
Cool.
All right. What we got over there, Chris?
A card that I haven't even seen yet.
What's that thing?
Volcanic Salvo. It is 10 and 2 red.
So how expensive is that? Are we talking 12?
12.
So Chris, is this standard playable?
Wait, hold on.
Hang on. There's abilities on this.
Oh, okay.
Sorcery. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control.
All right.
Volcanic Servo deals 6 damage to each up to 2 creatures or planeswalkers. So
Galta.
So I'm noticing this cannot hit anyone's face.
it does not hit anybody's face, which for me says
Yeah.
not standard play.
I'm out.
It's I could see it once again as like you have the huge green red deck in limited, maybe commander. It's a great kill spell, but
No, this does not see commander play.
I don't see it seeing play anywhere else or anywhere at all. Don't pick it if you see it in the draft. Don't put it in your commander deck or don't put it in your commander deck. Don't put it in your constructed deck.
I'll make an exception. I'll make an exception for draft, I think, and that's if you're playing, green red big boys. If you have Colossal Dreadnought out, this costs 6, which yes is a lot. But if you're following up a big beater that way with removal for the beater to get through,
Feels really good on that.
then that does feel good. And you've got the Garruk's Companion, the Garruk's Goreclaw, the 7/3 for 5.
Yep.
Okay, then that makes this cost 5.
Yep.
And 5 to take out 2 creatures
Or planeswalkers.
or planeswalkers, which in limited you're probably not going to see. But if you do, and you're just having trouble getting there, then maybe.
I
think that's it though. If you are not playing probably red-green monsters, I don't think you touch this with a 10-foot pole.
Yep. I'm gonna be sad if I see it in my sealed pool.
If it's your pack 1 pick run rare, you're pretty upset about it.
I'm gonna be sad if it's in my if it's in any of my packs in draft, because I know I'm just passing on.
Yep.
Yeah. But if it's your pack 3 and you're already playing red-green monsters,
and it comes to you, pick 5, pick 6,
I'll
sure.
be happy.
Yeah, I'll grab it.
Another one.
hey-o!
Hey.
Another heroic
We
intervention.
know what that does.
So we have a shiny and a not shiny one. So come and get them, folks. Come and get
They're
them.
in the case. Go nuts.
That's true, because the price point on that card was really high.
What?
We'll see what this reprint does to it now.
$7 like it'll go back up.
Yeah, but again, there's a reason it's $7-ish.
Fable Passage down to like 7 or 8 too.
Nice.
So,
Well, much more affordable and playable.
previously, yeah, like $20. Like get out of here.
All right. We'll move over here. Hey, well, we got some shininess. We have a Heartfire Immolator. It's 1 in red, 2/2 human wizard with prowess, and you can pay a red, sack it, deal damage equal to its power to creature or planeswalker. Not terrible. I think if you get to the end game, it can just take a blocker out of the way, which isn't amazing, but it's a bear with
I like
upside.
doubling its power on that.
What's
Like
it
an
say?
aggro deck.
Ooh. Remember, it can't hit face. So
Sure.
your only creature
Like you
removal,
swing
but
with
still.
it and then you sack it.
Oh, sure. So you swing with this. You pay the double power. You get your prowess trigger. It's then a 6/2
Yep.
at that point. So if they let it through, which it's a 2/2, they
Yep.
probably did. They're
Yeah.
taking 6, and if you got 1 mana left, you can probably take out their bomb.
Yep.
Then again, if they have a bomb, they're probably blocking the 2/2 with the bomb. But then you probably just took it out, so it's still worth it.
Yep.
And our rare Sporeweb Weaver. So anyone who's playing their Spider Tribal, we got another one for you. So 2 and a green for a 1/4 reach, hexproof from blue. So no blue targets on this. It can still be countered though, so it's not protected in that way from blue. But then whenever it's dealt damage, you gain a life and create a sapperling. I'm not super excited about this.
Nope.
To be honest.
I think that's the green. It's like a green-white kind of deal. Protection from flyers, going wide.
Though, well, no, that doesn't even.
I say in limited because its power is, or its toughness is 4. It's fine. You know,
Yeah.
You're gonna block all their 3x flyers or 2x flyers or any of those. So you're gonna block majority of their flyers. And constructed, totally not playable.
It's a nightmare for aggro, I think, too, because they're trying to swing at you, and then
the creatures aren't big enough to kill it.
Yeah.
Right.
In limited, against the flyers, against the aggro deck, great card. Constructed, no, don't. there's better things that I want to do with my 3 mana,
Sure.
especially in green. You know, you even got Cultivate in Constructed that you're probably going to be looking at. You know, you got Euro, the Elder Titan that draws you a card and gains you life.
Yeah.
You know, so
Uro for 4. Yeah.
you know, so
No, he's only 3.
he's only 3.
That's right. The escape is 4.
The
That's
escape
right.
is 4. So you know, there's so much more that I would rather do for 3 mana. You know, you got, I mean, even Teferi or holding up different spells and things like that. This is heroic intervention. This is not your.
I think that's the beauty of like a core set is you just got, you know, all around good playables for different formats. Like I think that's how you feel like you got a good one.
Mhm.
If you can walk away and be like, you know, solid limited set, solid. Like I was just telling him the other day, like between M19 and M20, it was like leaps and bounds for like limited gameplay, but then also just like reprint quality.
Yeah.
So
I feel like, you know, this set is very much showcasing limited.
Yeah.
Showcases a little bit of Commander, which we talked about for the
There's
past
a
year.
there's a lot of legends.
There's been a
in this
lot
set.
of
that's
there's
true.
been a lot of
Commander is huge.
Commander playable cards. You know, legendary commanders. You know, things like that.
Which I think
but-
was by design because of their
Yeah.
emphasis on Commander for this year.
But as far as constructed, especially for this guy, no.
Yeah.
Don't do it. You know, you'll spend all 3 mana on your Scavenging Ooze instead and be much happier.
So the only broken thing I can even think to do with this card in Commander is you have either the new Mythic Dragon or something like a Warstorm Surge. And then if you give this Indestructible,
Yeah. I saw this on the command.
you just
so
gained
something like it,
infinite
yeah.
life and made infinite tokens.
Yep.
It's a really janky 3-card combo,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a thing
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
could do. So, you know, your Warstorm Surge, your Dark Steel Plate, you can't obviously run anything that prevents the damage to it because then you're not gaining the life and getting the Saproling. But you just need to have a way for this to live
Yep.
through the damage. But yeah, so that's a weird little janky thing you can do, and that's going infinite in 2 ways is not nothing.
No.
No.
It's
not-
some setup,
it's not
but
always
infinite
yeah.
creatures. Granted, all of their damage is being dealt to this, so you couldn't, get the Warstorm Surge and be able to ping your opponent to death. But if you also have something like, an Impact Tremors, or if you're Aetherflux Reservoir and you just need a lot of life to be able to blow someone out of the water, and you just don't have to deal the Warstorm damage to this, you would eventually deal it to something else to stop the infinite loop, and then you could just win that way. So
And
there's
how
things you can
many
do.
2 mana tricks are there to just give your creatures haste, stuff like that.
Yeah, they're just you have to give everything haste. Yeah. And there's enough red effects that just blanket give everything
Yep.
haste. You got an Ogre Battle Driver. Okay, now they're all 3/1s with haste until end of turn.
Samo.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love it.
So yeah, you get there. There's this other card that I don't think we've seen one of these yet. I don't think you play it because I think it's really bad. So this card is a trap.
Yeah.
So it's a 5-mana 4/4
Oh,
Chrome Replicator. When it enters the battlefield, if you control 2 or more non-land, non-token permanents with the same name as one another, you basically get another one of these. You get a 4/4 colorless construct artifact creature token, which we pulled out before.
I like this card.
I don't know how often, not just, so you have to have 2 or more, that you drafted, or were in your sealed pool. You have to draw both of them,
If you got 3
And-
Boston Acolytes
and
or
have
Dreadmaws,
both of them in play.
Sure.
But okay,
That's
if you have 2 Dreadmaws, what do you need this for?
Sure. I think it's like ice cream on top, and if you don't want it, you just pitch it away.
Yeah.
You keep going.
I think you never pick it though. Like if you're in draft,
I feel like in your sealed pool, sure, it's cute.
It's a playable.
but it's a 5-mana 4/4.
There's 5 mana 4/4s of commons that you.
Yeah, but you don't.
For.
Yeah, but you don't play this though.
It's a core set. The power is not Ikoria level. If you get those 2 4/4s, you're on top of the world.
I don't know. I feel like you want equal power to toughness at least.
Sure.
If it's a vanilla creature, if this costs 4 mana, sure. Then yeah, totally sure. But that 5 mana, I feel like you're almost never gonna get that second trigger.
It's my 23rd card when I'm digging deep.
And you happen to get a playset of something.
Well, even if you don't get a playset of something, it's your 23rd card. It's your I need a playable card, and 5 mana 4/4
And
is
I'm low on creatures.
playable.
Sure.
Not really.
I feel like that's over half these cards.
Yeah.
If you get there, and that's part of the
But
fun.
remember, don't play bad cards.
So
Always play
we're gonna jump to that because it's shiny.
It's not a good shiny.
It's not, but it's shiny.
Nope.
It's not.
Yeah, I don't think you really ever play this.
Nope. Don't play it. But you do play that.
Heyo!
You play that every day, all day.
There he is.
Fun.
He's back. He is no longer cursed.
He is no longer cursed, and
He is no longer slave to the planeswalker whose name shall never be spoken.
He is completely playable in a lot of formats. And
Alright, so we have a Garruk Unleashed here. 2 green, 4 loyalty, so he passes that vanilla test. +1, up to 1 target creature gets +3/+3 and trample until end of turn. Seems pretty good. -2, create a 3/3 green beast creature token. Then, if an opponent controls more creatures than you, put a loyalty counter on him. -7, you get an emblem with. At the beginning of your end step, you may search your library for a creature card. Put it on the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. Okay, so yeah, this guy's pretty stupid. For Commander, because that's my area of expertise. If you're not the Smash deck, and you're not a Doubling Season deck, which thankfully they're reprinting here soon, but it's still going to be an expensive card, because then you could just ultimate him as soon as you play him. I don't think he gets there in Commander. Because, okay, say your opponents have more creatures than you. You do 4 mana, you get a 3/3, and then you have a Garruk with 2 loyalty. Planeswalkers already aren't great in Commander anyway, just because you typically have 3 opponents who can come and attack him, and then you've just paid 4 mana for a 3/3, which isn't great. So in Commander, I'm going to say no.
It's one more Garruk for Garruk Tribal.
If you're doing Garruk Tribal, so yeah, if you're running the new Garruk, who I think when a wolf dies,
put a loyalty on each Garruk.
On each Garruk. So yes, you
When
could do that. You're still playing Garruk Tribal in Commander, which people love their theme
Just
decks.
means you're a meathead.
That's it's your theme deck of do you even lift, bro? That is the theme of the deck. All right, so I'll pass this one over to you guys to discuss.
Constructed
your formats.
playable. He is not there yet, and that's because we still have all the Nissos running around and the Vivians that actually do slightly better things. But I feel like he could be there because he protects himself. He gives you a 3/3 body.
Yeah, body.
Yeah.
And usually he gets away from the 1 loyalty that
That's
he
true.
would be at. So he's at 2 loyalty, he's got a 3/3 body, and you can go up and you make a big, meaty, beefy beast.
I mean,
This
it's
card-
Garruk's beast. Of course, it's beefy.
Yeah. So in constructed, it's almost there. You know, right now we have the Vivians, we have the 5-mana Nissa that just outright outshine him, and you know,
Yeah. That's just stupid.
once they rotate, he could probably fill one of those slots or find a home in a different deck. You know, it's a card that I don't think you can sleep on, but it's not one that's gonna be immediately impactful.
Yeah.
But you know, the fact that he is able to protect himself is a huge part. And actually, I think he goes to 3 loyalty.
Yeah, if they control more creatures than you.
Yeah, if they control.
Oh, that's right.
So it's just he gets one
So,
more.
Yeah, so he's
You still got Proliferate running around in
Yeah.
Standard too.
and you know, one of
yeah,
those
from
things. So
one
if you
spot,
can, you know, you drop them and you drop them, you make a beast, and then you play your creature.
Yeah.
You know,
That's true.
very very easy. He's at 3 loyalty. You know, you have a bunch of creatures, you can just start pumping them.
Sure.
You know?
In limited, you take this card, you play it every time.
Yep.
Why? Because you make a beast. They got more creatures than you. That's great. Hard to kill on the swing. The beast is going to block. Next turn, you plus them. You got 6/6 with trample. It's pretty hard for them to recover from there unless they have on the spot removal. So
That's true. Yeah, his -2 and then +1 does make a Colossal Dreadmaw.
yeah.
Does a nice Colossal Dreadmaw impression.
And a moment on ultimates in limited when they happen, they're wonderful. But
but they won't.
You don't play Walker's ultimate. You just,
Yeah, their other two abilities need to be good enough to stand on their own.
Yeah. I will. Yeah, in limited, he will just be -2 +1 +1 -2 +1 +1 every day, all day.
Or maybe even -2 and then -2 again if they have more creatures than you.
Yeah,
Then you can do it twice in a row and then start plussing.
I'll play 4 mana for 2/3/3s any day.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have to read his writing because I wonder. I have to refresh myself on how loyalty abilities work and state-based effects. But I think you can, as long as they keep having more creatures than you, you can do it 3 times in a row and still keep them at 1 loyalty.
Sure, because I think the full ability
because I think the full ability
it checks his loyalty.
resolves before.
Gotcha.
But I have to ask your judge. Find your level 1, level 2 judge at the store or Google.
Because sorry, none of us here are judges. Sorry to say.
Yeah, it's been a while since I took my judge test, and by a while I mean at least 5 years. So.
All right, so we have a Basri's Lieutenant here, 3 and a white for a 3/4 human knight, so more knights for your knight tribal. So Vigilance, protection from multicolored. When Basri's Lieutenant enters a battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. More 1/1 counter synergy. If it ended there, you'd still play it. But it doesn't. When Basri's Lieutenant or another creature you control dies, if it had a 1/1 counter on it, you get a 2/2 white knight creature token with Vigilance. So you're basically for sure getting that 2/2 later. So it's a 3/4 Vigilance, protection from multicolored, and guarantees you get at least one 2/2 white knight creature token with Vigilance later.
Does that have to be a token or not a token?
Another creature you control dies.
Okay, so you go Grumgully, you play 4 Grumgully, 4 of these, and you basically have Luminous Broodmoth waiting. You just go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems pretty good.
Yeah.
It seems pretty good. any counter synergies, like there's so many, not just in standard, like in almost every color, you can find 1/1 counter synergies somewhere. Like red probably the least, but even so. Yeah. But then Grumgully, he's red.
He's right there.
Red green.
It seems constructed playable. I don't know how constructed playable it is.
I'm seeing
that's where
historic.
That's where I stand on it. It seems playable. I'm sure I'm gonna try it out in a few decks. If I end up playing anything that gives counters and is in white, I'm sure I'm gonna white creature matter decks. I'm sure I'm gonna take a look at it. White weenie, make this my top of the curve, kind of.
Doesn't a Johnny from War give you counters on all your stuff?
He can't. His -2 gives you a 1/1 counter on other creatures.
It's there.
It's there. So I'm gonna wait for someone else to break it though.
That's fair. I'm just thinking.
That's where I stand on it.
That's fair.
So I don't play standard, so I don't know all the interactions. But I'm thinking if you have a free sack outlet and something that benefits either the sack outlet or from dying or creatures entering, if you have Basri and you have Grumgully, the token enters with a 1/1 counter. You sack it for something. You're going to get another token with a 1/1 counter. You sack it for something. And you can just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
You could just keep going.
I get interested.
There's something there. I don't know what's there, but I feel like there's something that's there.
Yeah. I mean, there's Graft, which is an ability that says remove when this creature dies if it had a counter, add a move that counter and things like that. So.
All right. Well, I think we've only got 2 packs left, so Chris, we'll let you head over there. Oh, here's that active treason effect we were looking for that lets you steal something. You gain control of a creature until end of turn, untap it, it gains haste, and you get 2 mana of any one color. I definitely thought it was treasure because the dragons looks like it's holding some kind of treasure.
Yep.
But you do get the 2 mana. This is sorcery speed, so you're going to need to spend it right away. But it's still something.
Yep.
Still something. And another Grooksar Uprising and Unsubstantiate.
So, we found the spice again.
Oh, well, we got more spice? I thought we were out of spice.
Hey-oh! He's back.
Hey-oh! Good old Eugene.
Eugene is playable. Play him. Don't skip on him.
Do you play him in limited at 8 mana, though?
Yes.
Always.
Even so?
He played him or just ramp right into it.
You can ramp into him. He's your late game if you got it. Don't play him if you're that aggro deck that's low to the ground. Other than that, you play him
I mean, he
You
bolts
know,
anything.
+2 bolt.
He
+2 bolt.
bolts anything. You're going to kill
He can
anything that's
board wipe.
CMC 6 or less. That's,
Or 7.
that's color.
You could do a 7.
You
and
can
he
do
would
7, but
Your day will be ruined by this card. People will
Yeah.
drop it. They'll
You
already
will.
be controlling you. They'll bolt you twice. They'll minus him. It's over.
yeah, you're gonna be just behind on the board, and you're gonna have this in your hand. You're gonna find that 8th land, and be at 3 life and just stabilize and go. Game. I'm sorry.
It turns out you play Ugin, you wipe their board, and then every turn you're just bolting them.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, Ugin, the Spirit Dragon, 8 mana, colorless, +2. He does 3 damage to any target.
So that is bolt.
So
Just
face, planeswalker, creature, it's a bolt. His minus is -X. He starts at 7 loyalty. -X. Exile each permanent with converted mana cost X or less. That's 1 or more color. So
Which, by the way, is everything pretty much except artifacts.
Yep. And then his ultimate, you just win the game.
So you gain 7, draw 7, put up to 7 permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. So yeah, if that's not stabilizing, I don't know what is.
Yeah. So
Cards on standard, right?
yes.
I mean, like it'll see.
Yeah.
play.
Yes.
It has to
100%.
control.
He's gonna see play. The scary thing is he's gonna see play in your ramp decks. He's gonna see play in your control decks. You're gonna see him in the arrow
I
decks.
saw him on streamer event.
He's in your arrow decks. He's in your blue-white control decks. He's in your blue-white flicker decks. He's in your black attrition decks.
I mean, if you're going for a big splashy place, he's in your not Eerie Interlude, Eerie Ultimatum.
Yep.
Or the what's the Teamer Ultimatum? What's that one called?
Teamer Ultimate.
Yeah. So it's the one that's blue, red, and green, where you like look at the top 5 and you put like any number of permanents from among them on the battlefield for free. So
I can see it.
and granted, that's less mana too. That's 7. Granted, it might be a little harder than just the 8 colorless, but still.
If I'm playing Black Aristocrats, I'm sideboarding the Elder Spell super hard in the standard.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, Elder Spell is a card that you're going to want to pick up from your local game stores to combat it. Yeah.
The Dream's taken out of Nissa and an Ugin all in one fell swoop.
Yep.
Oh man, Nissa into Ugin. Yeah, that'll be a deck. Yeah, that'll be a deck.
That's a deck.
So we got our Griffin token, Bloodfell Caves, and
Nope.
alright. I don't think this card is bad.
Card sweet.
It's pretty good. Demonic Embrace. 1 black for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +3/+1, has flying, and is a demon in addition to its other types. You could stop there, and you still would probably play it.
Yep.
Because it's 3 damage and flying, even if they kill it. As long as it's not at instant speed, totally worth you playing this.
Your 1/2 is now a 4/3 flyer.
Yeah. Pretty good. So yeah, you can totally reasonably play this on turn 3 on any kind of lower level dork, and you're in business. But wait, there's more. You may cast Demonic Embrace from your graveyard by paying 3 life and discarding a card, in addition to paying its other costs. I don't care.
Yep.
That is great.
Sign me up.
Late game, you're drawing nothing but lands. Hey, let's just take my best creature and give it +3/+1 and flying.
Does it have life gain? Great. Life
Oh yeah.
located.
Oh yeah, if you throw that just even here on a Bosri's Acolyte,
Yep.
okay, then you have a 5/4 flyer lifelink.
Build your own Baneslayer.
Seems, yeah, build, well, except that it is a demon instead of getting protection from
Sure.
demons. But still, yeah, this card's bonkers. I think even in commander decks, this you might play if you're any kind of mill deck whose commander is not small, it's like Muldrotha. I might put this in Muldrotha, because now my Muldrotha is a 9/7 with flying, and I'm still casting cards from
Game's
graveyard,
over,
I'm putting
yeah.
things in there, like,
Love it.
man. Constructed?
I don't think you can say in
I
constructed.
mean, it's still an aura.
It's-
Auras and constructed usually aren't good.
Auras in constructed are very feels bad. The fact that you can get it back makes it less of a feel bad, but at the same time, especially in constructed, our current standard is so much targeted removal, so many bounce effects. You're gonna get 2 for 1 all day, and discarding those cards unless you're absolutely flooded. There are so many mana sinks in in standard and in constructed, or you need big mana. There's more efficient, better things to do with your mana than to cast that, or to pay 3 life and discard and cast that. So
I hear a lot of streamers say creatures in standard. Don't do it. That's what people are saying.
Yeah. And speaking, on that Muldrotha train, here's a really good card for it. It's 1 mana, 1/1 lifelink, Archfiend's Vessel, Human Cleric. When this enters the battlefield, if it entered from your graveyard, or you cast it from your graveyard, exile it. If you do, make a 5/5 black demon creature token with flying. So you get Muldrotha out, you play this, and you just paid 1 mana for a 5/5 black demon creature token, which feels pretty good. Feels real good. Well, guys, that is our box. Thank you so much. If you are still with us after all this time, kudos to you. You are a trooper. So thanks so much for joining us. We'll probably be opening another box here. We might do that one off camera. We might get another video up where we do another box. And I know we still have, we got some more limited gameplay. It's going to be coming your way in another video later this week. So definitely keep your eyes out for that. But again, you can get all this stuff, boxes here at Petrie's Family Games. Don't forget, if you come and pick up a box for $9.99, you're still going to be able to get the Rin and Seri buy box promo. Cam has a limited number of Mecha Godzilla Battle Fortress. This is a hanger back walker, which looks sweet, which you can still get with the boxes too. And don't forget, also, you're going to get 2 packs of Jumpstart in addition with that box. So crazy good value. You're going to get that price up through next Sunday, July 5th. So definitely come pick it up before then. But again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.